against the US, America only lost 3. So in 1979, in came the rest of Europe, including the future 5-time Ryder Cup winner, Seve Ballesteros. Since Team Europe was established, the head-to-head reads Europe 13, USA 9. Home advantage is a big deal. Europe's last away win was the miracle at Medina in 2012, and America hasn't won on European soil since '93 at the Belfry. It's accepted that both teams tailor their home courses to suit their own players. For example, in Paris in 2018, Thomas Bjorn asked for the rough to be kept extra long beyond the green to target the big booming American drives. 10 years earlier, Paul Azinger did the opposite and the Valhalla rough was trimmed right down. On both occasions, the home side were resounding winners. So what about the money? The most recent Ryder Cup in Rome drew in a record 271,000 spectators and boosted the Italian economy by €262 million. In the US, the PGA America TV deal with NBC is worth $440 million. But no Ryder Cup revenue has ever gone directly to individual players. That's until now. In 2025, for the first time ever, the US team will each receive a fee for playing in New York. Of course, in Rome, legend has it Patrick Cantley refused to wear his cap because he wasn't being paid to wear it, though he insisted it simply didn't fit. Either way, Team Europe have made it clear they're more than happy to keep playing for the sheer thrill, joy and prestige of the Ryder Cup.
This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me it is the former Chelsea and Republic of Ireland striker, Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
Well, oh dear. England did what was expected against Andorra, but what do you really make of that performance?
That fans have a right to come here and expect to see 4 or 5 goals put past that team. These are Premier League players. These are the elite players. I'm as baffled as some of the fans here as to why that hasn't happened.
OK, Adrian Durham asking the questions there. We'll assess the game shortly. Cass's Republic of Ireland had to come from 2-0 down to draw 2-2 versus Hungary.
It's not easy to come back from a 2-0 down at this level, and especially against a team like Hungary that is ranked 30 places above us.
That is the Ireland manager, Heimir Hallgrimsson, who seems content with that result. We'll get Cass's thoughts on that game later on, and we'll look back on yesterday's US Open women's final and look ahead to what's to come today in the men's, as it's once more Alcaraz against Sinner.
Sometimes it's also nice to not play, against him. It's nice, but as I always said, it's great for the sport, having rivalries, having hopefully great matches.
It is the third straight final when it comes to majors that these two will meet this year, and that was Yannick Sinner hoping to add another US Open title to his already bulging, I suppose, trophy cabinet. There's lots for us to discuss on what is a busy show. We're with you until 10. As always, we want to hear from you. 03717 223344. That's the number to call us on. You can WhatsApp us there, leave us a voice note there too, or you can text us to 81089. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT. So, Cass, how was your Saturday?
Yeah, okay, yeah, a lot of football.
I suppose what I should say, we should begin really by talking about the sad news that is the demise of your aquamarine glasses.
I walked into the door this morning, 4:15 in the morning. I got double doors that go into the front room, and when I'm watching football, I normally doze off on my settee. I do it every weekend. And I shut the doors last night, and then I got up to go to the toilet about 2:00 in the morning. I opened one and left it open. So got up at 4:45, walked straight to the doors, caught the side of the door, snapped the arm of my glasses. They're broke.
They are
Got to
no
get them
more.
fixed, Nat.
They are more currently.
Do you know what made me laugh as well? I've made a real loud noise. I've shouted. I've sworn. And nobody's woke up or heard me. Like, if there was something wrong with me. Like, so I went literally crazy at 4:45. And I went, oh no!
Well,
What have I done?
At least you know they're all sound and soundly asleep. But yeah, I know what you mean. If there was actually an issue, no one would hear a thing.
No.
Thankfully, you can get them fixed.
Yeah,
They
I'll
are
get the
now
arm
treated
fixed.
to the brown
ones,
autumnal ones,
yeah.
as I like to think of them.
Yeah.
Okay, we had to get started by talking about that. But right, that's grim. It was also grim for England, unfortunately, at Villa Park yesterday. They won the game, but it wasn't the performance we were all hoping for live on talkSPORT.
Now he's got 10 matches over 9 months to get it right before the real business starts.
Not everything came off today, but I feel like when you play against a stubborn team, you have to have that mindset of I'm just going to get the ball and go.
So many more progressive passes into the final third than we've probably seen in any game under Tuchel so far. And he's taken a touch off an Andorran defender to beat his goalkeeper and give England the lead.
One of their players plays in the equivalent of National League North. So how on earth is it just 1-0 and that was an own goal?
We could have had life easier, but overall, where it was possible, I think it was a much better performance than in June.
Kane making an early run. It's Rice coming round the back, and he's headed it in for 2. Much better than the 2 displays in June. Clearly still a lot to work on.
If we win the World Cup, nobody's going to remember a dull 2-0 against Andorra. But Thomas Tuchel had said to us, it's time to start showing the fans. For me, that really hasn't happened.
That was Adrian Durham there, who we'll hear from a little bit later on as well. So it was an own goal and then a Declan Rice header that sealed the 2-0 win in the end. But it wasn't that statement performance many of us were expecting following the reverse fixture back in June, which was a slender 1-0 win for the Three Lions. That being said, what Adrian's saying there, no one's going to remember this one if England win the World Cup. The problem is, Cass, people are looking at performances like that thinking England are nowhere near winning the World Cup.
Well, I wouldn't go as far as no one would remember it. It's going to be in the papers most of this week, you know.
Yeah, but I think he's obviously talking about this time next year. Well, not this time next year, but in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with Adrian. I mean, I was looking at all the headlines today. Turgid.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, labouring, stutters, box office flops, lack of speed and bravery, snooze fest. These are all in the papers today, and none of them are wrong. Now, England are an elite level team because of the capability. If you go through their team and value and what they're worth and what clubs have paid for them, England have got a huge amount of talent. Now, I played for the Republic of Ireland. We were always envious of how much England had available, players depth-wise, so like Wales were, like Scotland were, like Northern Ireland were. All of these international teams would play England and make it as difficult as we could because England had exceptional talent and a huge amount of players that could step in even if someone wasn't available that was a top player. Always, in every era of England teams. I look at England and I think, well, when you see your 2 centre-halves that have, it felt like a million touches, the pair of them, Mark Gahey and Dan Burn, they're not doing anything wrong. They're not giving away the ball. There's no risk at all element to the style of England. If that's the identity, well, it's don't give the ball away, don't take any risk, and we won't concede. Jordan Pickford might as well not been there last night. England could have played last night without a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
That's how much Andorra, as a threat were. They weren't a threat.
No.
Now, it's part of me that always, when I see, I switched over, by the way, and I don't know if other people did this, but when Bromley versus Gillingham started, I left watching the England game to watch Bromley versus Gillingham after a certain amount of time because England started earlier than the Bromley-Gillingham game. Yes, I've got a bit of a connection there, but I'm looking, thinking, I'm going to watch a bit of League Two because the first thing that struck me is that the press or getting low blocks. If you add another forward to say, just go simple and go, stick someone alongside Harry Kane, right, and have 2 forwards and have a midfielder like Declan Rice, who did score in the game, to keep getting in the 18-yard box. And all you need to do against Andorra was put a lot of crosses in. Lots of crosses, and they were in trouble. They had a lack of another body in there. I watched the Republic of Ireland play, and I'll talk about that later. Honestly, Nat, there was a million crosses in the game. It was literally unbelievable how many crosses kept going in the game, and especially when they went to Terence second, it kept going in. Now, it's too easy for Andorra. The reason why they can do, they're 170th in the world. The reason why they can do what they can do, or hurt England or stop England, is because they just sit. Now, you have to send players beyond their midfield, because it was never on. Eberici Esse is a talented footballer. He sits in a pocket. Dan Burn, Gahey, might want to look and feed it into him, but when he gets it, he's actually going to go backwards or sideways. That's all he's going to do. That's to a talented football, because they've got someone standing behind him. So maybe just try and turn the team. If you I know it sounds simple, but it isn't rocket science to beat a team who are 170th in the world by just going a bit more basic. You know, no one's saying in Portugal. Portugal won 5-1 against Armenia in Armenia. Ronaldo, what is Ronaldo, 40? He's got a brace again. Felix couldn't get a club move, you know, or say he's moved everywhere. He's got a brace. You know, okay, that's an example of one game.
Well, yeah, look, the way that Thomas Tuchel has spoken about this game, he sort of suggests basically they're getting better and better, that the direction is the right direction that England are going in. He does obviously say that they should have scored more goals based on their dominance in the game, but at the end of the day, it was. I mean, I was in the pub watching it, and the pub was so quiet in the sense that everyone was bored by it. In fact, they also had the Red Roses, England women's rugby team, who were in World Cup action on against Australia, and that seemed to have more people glued to that rather than what was happening at Villa Park, unfortunately. And we mentioned there about Adrian Durham saying no one's going to remember this game if England win the World Cup. Well, someone who will remember that game will be Elliot Anderson, who made his debut yesterday for England. This is what Thomas Tuchel had to say then about his performance.
It was not the test, but it was, I think, a fairer option also for him, a fairer opportunity to get his first game in a home match against Andorra in a strong squad. So we were, without being arrogant, but we were clear favourites. We were the better team, and we knew this from the start. So this was the right moment also for a debut for him in central midfield to see, because now comes a lot of physicality on Tuesday, and I would say he passed the test, so he's in the mix for Tuesday.
And there were a few standout performances, even though it was unspectacular for the Three Lions. Elliot Anderson, certainly one of those. I think Noni Madueke had a good game too. But then you're sort of reaching, aren't you, for others, unfortunately.
What did Noni Madueke do? Try to take his fullback on and try and get crosses in. So that is what I'm talking about. If you want productive football, you know, I watch England and I just think it's like going to the movies with all these star actors are in the film and the film's no good. Yeah, that's like watching England. They've got all these stars.
Plenty of those, yeah.
You know, there's plenty of examples of films where you go, cool, all these stars are in it, and then you suddenly you're watching, you go, come on, I think that weren't very good, was it? And that's like watching England to me. And they have moments. I mean, you're going to have players who are going to do better than others in certain games. Andorra, I think, they were so comfortable, even though they had no intention of trying to score in themselves. But they were comfortable. I said 6 yesterday. I said they could win 6, England, and they had enough chances to probably got 4, maybe 5. But I don't see anyone, and especially if you have someone like Eze in the team, you've got to get him on the ball much quicker, and you've got to get him on the half turn. That's where he's at his best. That's where he hurts you. Madueke is a winger that wants to take on fullbacks and get past them. Marcus Rashford, I just didn't think he ran into people too often, overrun the ball too often as a wide man.
Do you think in a way as well, should he have... Harry Kane is always a fascinating one because, of course, he's the captain. And, of course, he's always looking to continue to score goals and break more records, etc., etc. Did we need to see him start?
Not really. But it doesn't really... Does it really matter against Andorra, whoever plays up front of England? Certainly.
No, but I think there are some games where you think we should win this one. It shouldn't be a problem who plays because we should win. But we need to see a plan B. We need to see another option for Thomas Tuchel.
There isn't one. There's been one for a decade.
No, but that's the problem. We don't tend to see it. And that was one of the reasons that Gareth Southgate was lambasted so often, that he kept Harry Kane on the pitch when sometimes you were calling for a substitution, a change, whatever it was. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, this isn't a done deal in the sense that England haven't still qualified yet for the World Cup. So maybe there's an element of, well, why would you experiment until you know you're sealed?
Maybe not. OK, well, what about even a suggestion of saying, couldn't you play someone alongside Harry Kane when you play Andorra?
Is it.
I would rather go just
tweak it.
Just go with a 2. Say to Harry, who is very capable of, when you lose the ball, to drop into the midfield area, pick it up. Just have a second.
And then
player.
you know, and Ollie Watkins can get him behind and cause all sorts of problems.
It's an option that I don't even think Tuchel will even attempt.
No.
And I find that incredible that it's Andorra. If it was a team that you know that you can't be overrun in midfield, because they go so good technically, but they're not. They're a team that will give you the ball when they make mistakes, because that's why they're 170th. That's why are any of their players in any professional league?
I don't think to any high level, no.
No. So that's the difference between high level and, players will lose the ball in certain areas. So I think it's more of a basis of play with a style that's effective and hurts oppositions. And if it happens to be Andorra, who want to just sit in, get players that can do the things that I think. And I say it all the time, there isn't enough teams that will go, do you know what, play an extra body up front and we'll get a runner from midfield. Things will happen and we'll get chances and we'll definitely score more goals.
Okay, well, we want to know what you made of that performance then. It is the morning after the day before, or the day after. What am I trying to say? No, the day before. That's absolutely right. Maybe you've had time to think about it. Maybe you're satisfied that it's still a matter of job done. And like Adrian said, people aren't going to remember this if it all works out in the 2026 World Cup. Do you think life is getting better under Thomas Tuchel than it was under Gareth Southgate, for example? Let us know what you think. 03717 223344. That's the number to call us on. That's the number to WhatsApp us on. 81089 is the text number. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. It is the former Aston Villa striker Tony Cascarino who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer, and of course a very, very familiar theme tune, a bit of Flintstones for this Sunday morning. And the reason we're playing it is because of a story that we've seen in the papers with the headline, Cass.
Go on.
I'm going clubbing, return of the caveman. Apparently, cavemen could be brought back to life. Did they ever go away? Using Jurassic Park-style cloning. Boffins reckon they can resurrect the Neanderthal man more than 40,000 years after he died out. So how it works is DNA from prehistoric skeletons would be mixed with human stem cells and implanted into a surrogate mum. She would then give birth to a Neanderthal child. Why? Early in the year, it was revealed 3 pups were born using DNA cloned from the dire wolf, which was extinct for more than 12,000 years. It's believed to be the first de-extinction, if that's such a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, do we really want cavemen back? I'm not quite sure we're thinking about this, really.
Bam, bam. It's a weird one because if you look... things like dinosaurs, that and we see all the Jurassic Park films of how they use the cells, or like you said, what was it, the DNA,
the cloning and everything,
cloning and do all this, that one day they could be back, and I always think, really, is that actually possible? Because I feel like that was such a dangerous period, and now you know what I mean, we want this back in our world.
Such a dangerous bit. I don't want to go back to
obviously
those
really
times.
dangerous. But
no, I agree with you. I agree with you.
What would you think the planet would have been like now, all these thousands, 100,000 years? I imagine you'd have done well to survive 20 minutes.
Oh, I know.
Right?
Gosh, absolutely. Yeah.
You'd have been
so why
taken
do
out.
we want cavemen to return?
Well,
to be fair, though, I don't agree with the breeding of, for example, dogs, where we're now seeing mini versions of everything,
there's lots
because
of that,
obviously there's health issues and complications with that. The only time I might say mini things are all right, maybe mini dinosaurs. So a mini T-Rex hopefully won't do too much damage.
No, I think
I don't see
it's like all
any
things.
of it, clearly.
Well, there's like all things. There is obviously would be some positive from using DNA and bringing back some things, but other things, I'm not so sure it's a good idea. Put it that way.
Yeah, I think most of us are in that same camp. Let's move on. Let's chat about footballers and investments, shall we? Because early in the week, Danny Murphy revealed on White and Jordan the struggles between footballers and investments, whether it was the wrong investments or being surrounded by the wrong people. It's always been a problem for footballers. Let's hear what Danny had to say on how they've been targeted in situations like this.
Simple way of putting it is when you're a young footballer, early 20s, and there's nobody in most of the lads' families who've got any experience with money or investment, you tend to confide in the other players, senior boys at the club, like England internationals in my case, who were looked after by them. So I kind of felt safety in numbers. They looked after managers, they looked after Martin O'Neill, Howard Wilkinson. This was a glossy brochure with already an established portfolio of people. How could you go wrong? And then what they do is cleverly worm their way into your life and become friends of the family, if you like, and then you stupidly, naively, if you like, put your trust in them. And don't get me wrong, you had those moments of reflection where you look back and think, what the hell was I doing? Why would I do that? But you have to get past it. But yeah, it was a free-for-all back then. The Premier League, as Simon knows, was booming, and the more wealth, the more sharks. As we progressed, and the wages got bigger, more people got involved in trying to guide you how to spend that money and save that money and use that money.
Well, Danny was speaking about this because he is part of a campaign group involving Brian Deane, Rod Wallace, for example, comprises of 11 footballers who invested with Kingsbridge Asset Management in the 1990s and 2000s. And as a result, players lost tens of millions of pounds. I know you've got a strong view on all of this.
Well, there's a few things. Obviously, I know a few players have been affected by these schemes. I always found it really strange that the people you meet along the way that are advisors, that they will sign you onto a deal, or you take up this, offer that's available, and 2 years later they've disappeared into another company, and then you end up being churned and commissions and fees. That's how it happens. So there's pension funds, that can be all in, they could be invested, and yet people move them. And every time they move them, they charge a fee and a commission. And I would say, the one thing I would say that Danny didn't mention, and I think we have to own up here, and I would be one of them, that we're quite lazy, as in we're not checking as much as we should do, because there is an element of you have to be all over your finances, because if you're just trusting someone or a company just to invest your money, and you might look after it and keep an eye on it, I think that there's too many, because like Danny said, there's maybe a manager or a top player or the agency, they have all these investments. Even look, the PFA were involved. They were advising as well, weren't they? That some of the companies they use, players would go on board with. So it's a really widespread thing. And by the way, it wasn't footballers as well. It was accountants were involved in all these sort of schemes. And they were losing their money as well, because they thought they were good ideas.
But see, that's where I think it maybe not be lazy, it's just naivety perhaps. But
bit of both. Bit of both.
But we're all,
I was lazy.
But you will trust people, because like Danny says there, if there are other footballers or managers who have said, look, I'm investing in this, you're going to believe them and think, well, obviously it's legit.
Yeah, but the reason why I use the word lazy now is because you have to be all over your own finances.
I totally understand.
And a lot of us aren't. And I wasn't at one particular time. And like I've said, I've got friends who have probably afterwards, and like Danny said, would be naive and stupid, and trusting people. This is a big goldfish pond, isn't it? The money in football. It is a huge amount of cake there to be split up, and and I always say to people, the two things you want to avoid is bad investment, but you might not know it's bad until you're in it, and also don't get divorced. Danny's had a divorce, and many of my players, but that creates strain on you and the family. If you financial of you suddenly the money you've invested, and it's at risk, that gives problems at home as well. Because I'll give you one example what I done when I say stupid. I was having a bit of a difficult time with my second missus, and I decided to, when the crash happened and I saw shares go down, I decided to spend 300,000 of my pension on buying RBS shares. Well, they went through the floor. They literally, and banks did in the crash. Yes. They went to a real low period. When I started, I thought banks can't keep going down as much as this, so I took it upon myself. Right. I had a MySIP pension, and I thought, I'm going to buy RBS shares because they were a recognised bank, and I thought they'll bounce back. They dropped a lot. But by the way, my shares were worth about 10p in a pound by the end of it.
Oh my!
So I basically got to 30 grand. Now, that's my fault. That's on me. But I always said, because I didn't really do too many other things with companies or the tax avoidance. Well, some people say it's avoidance. You get advice that maybe you can pay less tax. I didn't do any of that. I avoided the film schemes. There
are a lot of those. Yeah.
So there's lots of ways for you to lose your money. There really is. Mm-hmm. And the 90s was the start of it because it was the real period of growth in earnings. It leapt incredible. It went tenfold in a decade. Mm. In 1990, John Barnes was the highest paid player at £10,000 a week. By 2000, it had gone to 100 grand a week. Wow. right? Roy
That's a
Keane had got
rise,
their
yeah.
first 100 grand player. So in that, it went tenfold in a decade. And that's when all that money was being, there was abuse definitely happening.
But also why you can see that some players earning the mega bucks, like you're saying, would just go, well, this makes sense. I'll invest in this, or I'll put my money into this scheme thinking it's going to benefit them in the long run. And unfortunately, in the case of some of these players that we've mentioned, it didn't. But it's going to.
Can I just make a quick word on this as well? A really quick one, Nat, is that also footballers wouldn't invest small amounts because they wouldn't see it. What's the point investing a couple of thousand on something?
Yeah.
The investments on them would be something that would, be an enormous amount. You might say greed, but a lot more growth than, they'd be investing 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 or whatever.
Indeed. OK, we are going to discuss more about England in just a moment. We're going to be joined by The Standard's Dom Smith for his reaction to it.
Amen Corner, perhaps the most feared run of holes in golf. Each year it claims the tournament hopes of many, with balls hitting bunkers and water traps aplenty. But why is it so fearsome, and where did it get its name? Just the thoughts of holes 11, 12 and 13 at Augusta National gives the likes of Rory McIlroy and Jordan Spieth the shivers. McIlroy hit 3 over and Spieth hit 4 over in their final rounds to blow their hopes of a green jacket in 2011 and 2016 respectively. But did you know Amen Corner's name is inspired by a jazz song from 1933? American sports writer Herbert Warren Wint, on the left here, wrote about it in 1958, referencing the song shouted in that Amen Corner when describing the run. Hole 11 is a par 4 over 520 yards with a green guarded by a pond and bunkers to the front edge. 12, perhaps golf's most famous hole, is a par 3 over just 155 yards. The green's guarded by Rays Creek at the front, more bunkers and azalea bushes ready to punish the smallest error. Then there's the 13th that teases the hook shot over the trees. It's a dogleg par 5 over 545 yards that's inviting for big hitters who want to reach the green in 2. If you want to win the Masters, you have to keep your score down around Amen Corner. So who'll be the next to fall victim to golf's most famous and most daunting challenge?
Good morning, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. We're live on your radio, YouTube and smart TV. It's a man who has the freedom of the French town of Nancy, Tony Cascarino, who is with me, Natalie Sawyer, and we're taking you through until 10. Here are some of your headlines that you're waking up to today. European champions Arsenal got off to a winning start in the Women's Super League, beating the newcomers London City Lionesses 4-1 at the Emirates. Had to come from behind to get that win. Elsewhere, Cristiano Ronaldo took his international goal tally to 140 in 222 appearances, with 2 yesterday as Portugal opened up their World Cup qualifying campaign with a 5-0 hammering of Armenia. And yesterday on the Saturday session, former Chelsea defender Scott Minto questioned why Harry Kane is chosen to play every game as England's starting striker.
So I've got nothing but respect for him, and he's not just a number 9, he can drop in and be almost like a number 10, so he's a brilliant footballer as well as a goal scorer. But the last thing we need is Harry Kane to be playing every single game to the point where we go into another tournament. If he's not playing well, then it seems like we can't drop Harry Kane because, we didn't drop him in the qualifiers, and, we can bring on Ollie Watkins, who, okay, yes, he's not started well this season, but, what he did in the semi-final coming off the bench was brilliant. But he needs to feel, and because he's the number 2 in this particular squad, he needs to feel that he has belief from the manager. And I just think if Harry Kane's starting both games, which if he's going to start today, he's going to start on Tuesday, and he will start today, then at what point do you get that belief? It's a general kind of rule, but it's very, very general about people are sort of saying when they go into England squads, they need 10 squads just to feel a sort of a part of it. And obviously it's very individual. Some can go in and be bang straight away. Some actually can need a lot more than 10. But my point is that Ollie Watkins needs to be shown the faith.
Funnily enough, we sort of mentioned that, didn't we, just a few moments ago when we were talking about the England result yesterday, and just having other options and trying out different things against a team that you are expected to win. And look, it obviously was not as easy in terms of the scoreline that we all wanted yesterday. But, I mean, he makes a good point there about belief, Scott, because clearly Ollie Watkins is sitting there probably thinking, I don't know if you really rate me. You're not bringing me on. You're not starting me. I'm just here to fill up the numbers, it feels.
Yeah, well, look, Harry's the record goal scorer. He keeps adding to the numbers, and you could argue that, he wants to get more, wants to get to an even bigger one. But Cristiano Ronaldo has done that nearly all his career. Yeah, so I always say, well, Messi, okay, Ronaldo, the top 2 players in the world, certainly over the last couple of decades, they've wanted to play all the time. Ronaldo is literally, you're scratching your head sometimes with Ronaldo because you think, how can he possibly Armenia away? And he's, off the back of the Saudi season, he then goes and wants to play. He does. And Harry's in that mindset. So I understand it. Maybe Ollie's or whoever's the number 2 have got to even do even better at club levels to have a chance of being used a bit more.
Yeah.
Harry wants to play. There are players who just want to play every game. Now, either Thomas Tuchel takes it out of his hands and says, you're not playing, for whatever reason, you're not playing. I'm
not expecting Harry Kane to turn around and go, I'll sit this one out.
Yeah, no.
But there's just that option of maybe Thomas Tuchel saying, I'm going to start you on the bench today.
Well,
you're going to be benched, and we'll see where we go from there.
He's a cold, calculated killer in front of goal. That's what Harry Kane is.
He wasn't yesterday.
No, it wasn't yesterday. But generally, look at his career. That's what he is.
No, you're
and he's
right.
a bit of an ice man. And I'm sure that he gets so much satisfaction by adding to his goal tally all the time.
Yeah.
Because he's made that way.
Of course.
But he doesn't say a lot, and he's been a fantastic pro. I just think
of course, and
it's the manager who's got to do it now.
Yes, it's not an anti-Harry Kane.
No,
because we all
not at
know
all.
the qualities of Harry Kane. It's just having, as we said earlier on, plan B, just another option.
Yeah.
Or, like you said, trying Harry Kane alongside
someone, take the way, or take him off after 60 minutes. I mean, it has happened. I just think that's all on Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah.
He has to make
absolutely.
the call.
Absolutely. There's nothing against Harry Kane. And as I say, Harry Kane's never going to turn around and go, I'm all right, I don't need to play this one. Yeah. It's just not going to happen. But let's get more reaction to this result then at Villa Park. England beating Andorra 2-0 yesterday. The football writer from The Standard, Dom Smith, joins us this morning. Dom, good morning. How are you?
Good morning to you both. How are you?
Are you, Dom?
Yeah, we're all right.
Where we're looking at most of the headlines this morning, Dom, and every newspaper is pretty much just saying snooze fest and lack of speed and bravery and many other things are being mentioned. So tell us from your perspective the reaction to the game and the performance.
Yeah, I think one of them was Andorra Snorer, which I quite liked. Look, it was a little bit better, wasn't it, than the match in Barcelona in June when England only won 1-0 against Andorra. But it was only a little bit better. I think the tempo was probably slightly improved. It didn't look like England were playing in really hot conditions at the end of a very tiring season, which it did in Barcelona. But yeah, it's very hard not to look past the scoreline, which is, at 2-0, it was disappointing. It was a good opportunity for some attacking players to show what they can do, including like Madueke and Eze and players like that. I'm not sure all of them took it as well as some others, but, England have to look at the broader picture, and to win is to remain top of the group with 4 wins from 4. That's important, but that was always going to happen. So I think overall it's another match that England are probably never going to remember in the grand scheme of things. It's about getting to the World Cup. But, before we reach that, we need to feel, England fans will say they need to feel that they think it's going well under Thomas Tuchel, and that he's proving that he can produce the sort of football that might win us this World Cup next summer. And I think a lot of fans, I know that the opposition's been very limited. It's very difficult to prove that you can do that when you're playing against defences who just sit in like this. But I think it's not always been easy on the eye, has it, so far under Thomas Tuchel?
I mean, that is the thing that obviously you mentioned it there. There are a lot of teams that will opt for a low block, let's say, because they know that it's very difficult for them to restrict England in any other way. But do you not think? I mean, we've been doing this for years. Is there not a point at some point in the England with Thomas Tuchel, Gareth Southgate previously? At some point, someone's going to click and go, this is how we get past a low block. It doesn't seem that we understand how to do that.
Well, England were very good under Gareth Southgate at getting past a low block against particularly poor national teams, like Andorra, for example. There were very rarely matches when they weren't winning these games 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. But that's not how you win a tournament. And of course, that's the frustrating thing, is that international football, already a manager gets to see their players for way less time than a club manager. And then when they do, quite often, the matches that are put in front of them are, basically bear no relevance to the sort of games that they're going to come across in the World Cup. That might be a little bit different next summer, because England, of course, are in a 48-team World Cup if they qualify, which means that it's conceivable that they're in a very winnable group. They play a round of 32, a round of 16, and it's the quarter-final before we actually see Thomas Tuchel's England play a genuinely meaningful football match, which would be, incredible, but very, very possible. But you just have to do what you can do in these matches. And, Andorra are ranked, I think, 174th in the world. They don't tend to get thrashed. That's certainly fair to say. And England, well, that's just as well, because England certainly didn't thrash them, did they?
No. Dom, could you make an argument that, well, look, America next summer, obviously with Mexico and Canada as well, that temperatures, well, I played in 94 and it was soaring temperatures, especially in Florida and other parts of America, of the times that England be playing, that they are going to need a slower tempo, because they're not going to be able to play football at, foot down on the pedal from the start of the game to the end of the game.
Yeah, I think you definitely could make a point of that. And I've been a little bit surprised, actually, because, we get to sit in on some of these sort of written briefings with Thomas Tuchel. And a few moments over the last few months since he's been in the job, he's been asked about that and the challenge of actually being in that heat, quite apart from who his team will be facing. And he's sort of admitted that it's just not possible, and they're not trying to get prepared for a slower tempo and less exertion in the matches next summer in these qualifiers, which I find slightly surprising that you wouldn't at least try to mimic that sort of lesser style that you might have to deploy in the summer based on just soaring temperatures that you mentioned. So you're right, they're absolutely going to have to adapt. And I'm a little bit surprised that, they're not in these temperatures yet, but I'm a little bit surprised that they're not sort of trying to get used to it now and sort of fake it, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, manage it now. Yeah.
Do you think England have gone backwards under Thomas Tuchel, or are there any sort of positive changes that you've seen so far?
I just don't think we can say that a team's gone backwards when they've only played limited opposition. The one thing that you would say is that the performance England delivered in June when they played at Nottingham Forest's ground, the City ground, and lost to Senegal, that was really, really poor. And England deserved to lose to Senegal. And Senegal didn't just beat England; they beat England by more than one goal, which was a pretty rare occurrence for the national team to go down like that. So that match did feel like kind of regression from England. But the other qualifiers, they have been boring, that's fair to say, but they're sort of always going to be. And we're not going to know until tests like Tuesday in Belgrade against Serbia. But even that is a test, only in the context of a lack of tests so far. It's still not the same as playing the Netherlands or playing Brazil, is it? So we'll learn more about England, but we'll learn more about England in the context of a team that sits defensively but just does it better than Andorra.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Dom, we appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Dom.
Thank you.
Great to have you with us. That's Dom Smith, then the football writer. Don't forget the talkSPORT Daily podcast. The England Debrief is now available with Adrian Durham, Jim Proudfoot and England legend Stuart Pearce, reacting then to that Three Lions performance against Andorra, and also looking ahead to that World Cup qualifier to come on Tuesday in Serbia. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. Coming up next, we're going to discuss the Republic of Ireland after they got their campaign underway last night here on the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Good morning. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Weekend Sports Breakfast with the Crocodile legend. There's Tony Cascarino, who's with me, Natalie Sawyer. Here are some of your headlines this morning. Red Bull's Max Verstappen snatched pole position for the Italian Grand Prix from Lando Norris with the fastest lap in Formula One history. Elsewhere in tennis, world number one Aryna Sabalenka battled past home hope for Amanda Anisimova, there you go, to retain her US Open title and finally secure her first Grand Slam trophy of this year. And the Republic of Ireland's World Cup bid began in stirring fashion as they came from 2 goals down to draw with 10-man Hungary in Dublin. So let's hear from the Ireland head coach Heimir Hallgrímsson on their efforts to secure a point late at the Aviva last night.
We all knew how important this game was, not to have 3 points at home, especially in front of this magnificent crowd. Really need to give them all the thanks I can, because it was a fantastic atmosphere in the second half. But yeah, we should not have only 1 point. I felt like we deserved all the 3 points. But given that we conceded the 2 goals in the beginning, and especially the manner they came, it was a sloppy duels lost. And in such an important game, you don't want that. So unhappy with the beginning, and it was psychologically difficult to be 2-0 down in 15 minutes.
So that was the reaction from the Republic of Ireland head coach after they earned that first point in their first game of this World Cup qualifying group. Cass, you were obviously watching this one. What did you make of Ireland's performance?
Well, they went down early in the game. They went 1-0 down. They've tried to...
Very early, 2 minutes in, wasn't it?
Literally 2 minutes in. And Republic of Ireland went sort of 2 up front because Smodics sat alongside, very close to Evan Ferguson, which I quite liked. It worked really well. But they fell behind very early in the game. And Matt Doherty's got caught really sleeping because it's been just one of them balls that's just lobbed over the back line of Ireland, caught the 2 centre-halves out, and he's got caught 2 yards, really. Right. If he'd have squeezed up with the back four, it wouldn't have been a goal. It would have been offside. But then they conceded from a corner with a header, 2-0 down.
And this is after 15 minutes.
15 minutes. And they couldn't find a way in the first 45 minutes. And this is where you commend the coach, because he's slightly changed it around and gone quite direct and really pushed to get bodies in
very different
area.
From Stephen Kenny then.
Very, very different. And I've said Ireland's chances of qualifying are going to come down to how many goals they get, because they had a real lack of goals in their team. And I've never seen so many crosses in 45 minutes that came in. It was like playing for Ireland in 1988, 89, 90. It was coming in from everywhere. And obviously it was a really late goal. There was a sending off. They went to 10 men. But Ireland were going that route anyway. And it was quite direct. But tell you what, it lifted the Aviva. You could feel once Ireland got back to 2-1, you sensed it was just going to be... And Ireland had chance after chance. And don't get me wrong, Hungary had the odd chance in the second half, but it was just relentless pressure, one after another. Every time they got the ball, Ryan Manning at full-back was superb, kept getting the ball in every time he could. And by the end, Adam Eder came on.
That's right.
And then you've got him and Ferguson, and he gets on the head of a cross. And it was obvious that the only way Ireland were going to score was from crosses. And they got back to 2-2, and it erupted at the Aviva. It was really a massive result, because losing to Hungary in the opening game in a tough group with Portugal at home would have been that would have been them out already. They've got something out of the game. And I tell you what, they looked... There's been more optimism with the Republic of Ireland in recent, certainly in the last year or so. And I feel that way as well, because I do feel they have an idea of the way they're going to play, but also the coach can switch it around slightly. But watching 2 up front was an absolute joy. I'm loving it. I'm thinking, go on, keep getting in, because they're going to concede. And Hungary were hanging on. It was, I mean, I don't know if you got the numbers of crosses in there, Nat, but it was a ridiculous amount.
I think it was, there was 45, well, this is from the stats that I'm looking at and how I interpret them. According to this, they had 45 crosses. I think 19. I'm not sure what it says. 19 out of 45. So I assume that's successful crosses.
Yeah, successful. But it was. I mean, look, if you're crossing the ball from deep areas sometimes and out wide, the cross is not going to be perfect.
No.
So defenders clear it.
Yeah.
But the fact that they got so many in, the hungry players were just, you could see they were shattered from the relentless pressure. And fair play, because that performance to me says a lot. Like, I feel like Ireland are out of the doldrums, and yes, they might not qualify, but at least they have a style that the opposition are going, how tough was it playing the Republic of Ireland?
Yeah.
That's what we lived and breathed on over the Jack Charlton, Mick McCarthy years. How tough it was to play the Republic of Ireland.
Well, they're playing Armenia next in their next World Cup qualifier, which is on Tuesday. That's away as well. And like you say, with Portugal in the group, obviously everyone's expecting Portugal will win this one. So it all comes down to that second spot and a playoff spot as well. So vital, really, that they got that point against Hungary yesterday. Absolutely.
Honestly, the way Ireland played yesterday, if they attempt to do the same against Portugal, they will cause Portugal problems, because it was nearly impossible at times to defend, because Ireland have a lot of good headers of the ball in their team. Whether it's centre-halves in O'Shea or whether it's Collins, and then you look at forwards, Ferguson, he looks sharp. Not brilliant, but he looked sharp. He got himself a goal, Evan Ferguson. So that's a big thing as well.
Okay. We'll have plenty more on the international football during this international break right here on talkSPORT. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Stay with us. Plenty more to come.
What football ground are you thinking of when someone says this?
Really tough place to go. Difficult place to go. Such a tough place to go.
It's a tough place to go at the moment.
It was a really difficult place to go, always.
But what are the toughest places to go, really? We've scoured the planet to find out. Forget a cold, wet Tuesday night in Stoke. Try playing in a blizzard 220 miles inside the Arctic Circle at the world's northernmost professional club. When Chelsea lost at Tromsø in Norway in the 97-98 Cup Winners' Cup, a massive snowstorm hit at half-time. These two boys and their brooms were absolutely no match for it. We're staying in Scandinavia for Scotland's toughest away day on a windswept cliff in the Faroe Islands. In Euro 2000 qualifying, Craig Brown's men were taken to fishing village Toftir. Kevin Gallagher called the pitch a cowfield and the wind like Pitodry on a bad day. The Faroe Islands part-timers equalised in stoppage time, leading to these absolute scenes, and still one of Scotland's most embarrassing results.
daft little ground, silly game.
But away trips don't come any tougher than a lung-busting schlep up the Andes to face Bolivia in La Paz. But now the Bolivians have taken home advantage to another level. The country's highest city, El Alto, 4,100 metres above sea level. Grass doesn't even grow up here. Bolivia have not lost here yet. The longest unbeaten run in any professional league ever belongs to Red Star Belgrade, or Crvena Zvezda if you must. They've gone 7 years without defeat at the Rajko Mitic in Serbia's Superliga. Their fans are pretty intimidating as well, but they're not as loud as this mob. Galatasaray's Ali Sami Yen Stadium's officially the loudest in world football. In a derby with Fenerbahce, Galatasaray fans set a Guinness World Record of 131 decibels. That's louder than Motorhead, and pretty tough to carry out your manager's instructions when you can't even hear them. However, our most intimidating away day is in Wales, where cameras can't enter and players can't leave. HMP Prescoed. This prison team was briefly kicked out the Gwent League over concerns about young opposition having to go in there. Now that's a tough place to go.
Early June 1939, Germany, always a tough place to go to.
Good morning, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me it is the former Gillingham and Chelsea striker, Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
Loads on the agenda today. England did the expected and beat Andorra yesterday 2-0. So how do we reflect on that performance?
That fans have a right to come here and expect to see 4 or 5 goals put past that team. These are Premier League players. These are the elite players. I'm as baffled as some of the fans here as to why that hasn't happened.
Well, that's talkSPORT's Adrian Durham there. Not pleased with that performance from England, but what did you make of it? Thomas Tuchel is convinced England are on the right track. Are you? Give us a call. 03717 223344. Give us your assessment of how England are shaping up right now under Thomas Tuchel. Elsewhere, Max Verstappen crossed the line to seal his 5th pole position of the year at the Italian Grand Prix, and he couldn't hide his delight after qualifying.
Yes, guys. Yes. That's unbelievable. Really, really good job. It worked out. Relaxed here. It's all good.
talkSPORT's F1 reporter John Jackson will have more on the Italian GP later on in the show. And we're going to look back on yesterday's US Open women's final and also look ahead to what is to come today. As once more, it's Sinner against Alcaraz.
Sometimes it's also nice to not play, against him. It's nice, but as I always said, it's great for the sport, having rivalries, having hopefully great matches.
Yeah, 3rd Grand Slam final in a row that they will face each other in that final, as Yannick Sinner was alluding to there. We'd love to hear from you as always on the show. You can WhatsApp us on 03717 223344 and you can text us to 81089 and join the show here on the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Okay, right. Let's discuss some of the footballs that is coming your way for the next few days, and in particular today, and focus actually on German football. They're going to be facing Northern Ireland today in a World Cup qualifier, but they go into it off the back of an opening defeat to Slovakia on Thursday, which has led to a fair few questions being asked of the German national team too. However, remarkably, it's only the 4th World Cup qualifier they have ever lost. So how bad have things got? and has things been blown out of proportion? Joining us to give us his unique take on it all is European football expert Kevin Hatchard. Kevin, good morning. How are you doing today?
Hi, Kevin.
Good. How are we, guys?
Yeah, we're good.
Very well.
Kevin, I wanted to ask you because since March, I mean, look, Germany have played some tough games. People like the Netherlands in the Nations League, Italy, France, and they've not got good results. But is that the alarm bells ringing in Germany over the defeat to Slovakia? Because they've still got Rudiger, they got Wirtz, they got players that are coming through. You're looking at Goretzka. They have talent within their squad. So why is German football, having been on the end of a loss to Slovakia?
Yeah, the talent is not the issue. The issue has been the application, the kind of old-fashioned values, if you like, and I think that's what's really come to the fore, and Julian Nagelsmann talks about that. He said, maybe I need to start selecting less talented players who are going to have more desire. And, he's quite open about that after that defeat to Slovakia, which, as you say, was only their fourth ever in a World Cup qualifier, their first away from home in a World Cup qualifier. And it was a really poor display. So it has got the alarm bells ringing. I think when he took charge, Germany were at a low ebb anyway, in terms of poor performances at major tournaments. Obviously, Hansi Flick had been unlucky, I think, at that World Cup in Qatar to some extent. They made lots of chances, didn't take them, had a couple of clumsy results that could easily have been avoided. But Julian Nagelsmann, I think, did a good job in general in terms of preparing them for that home Euros, and they went out to the eventual winners, Spain. In the Nations League, they got to the Final Four, then came up against, again, the eventual winners, Portugal, and then lost to France. So there are understandable results until you get to that Slovakia performance, which was very poor.
Yeah, I mean, Nagelsmann's record isn't particularly great either, is it? I think he's only won half of the 24 games that he's been in charge of since taking over in, September 2023. And you talk about him thinking he's got to rethink his selection process. If you're going based on players that just might have the desire over the talent as such, who are we looking at then?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, you kind of felt that he'd already got there in terms of, you look at some of the selections that he's made. Guys like Tim Kleindienst who've come through, he's injured at the moment, but he's been playing really well for Germany until he got injured. He was playing second-tier football not that long ago as a kind of classic old-school centre-forward. You look at Oliver Baumann, who's a very experienced goalkeeper, but he'd been nowhere near getting a national team cap, and suddenly he's been the regular first-choice goalkeeper. There's been a lot of talk about, could Manuel Neuer come back? Does he need to come back and give them a bit more experience and a bit more solidity, maybe? But there's no sign of that at the moment. Marc-Andre ter Stegen, when he gets back from that injury that he suffered recently, is expected to be the number one if they qualify for the World Cup. So he kind of has, I feel, already had that shake-up. You've got guys like Angelo Stiller, who plays for Stuttgart. He's been brought into the midfield. So he can say that, but I'm not sure that's going to solve the problem. He's got to find a way of getting the best out of these players, because at the moment he's just not doing it.
Well, he's gone to the younger players as well. People like Florian Wirtz who have come on the scene and been, superb in Germany. And then you've got Waldemar made that's got, big signing for Newcastle. Yeah. He's gone from the under-21s to the senior squad. So, he's trying to implement some of the younger players in the last sort of 18 months anyway.
Yeah, that's the tricky thing as well, because Voltemade, as you say, I think is an exciting player. I think Newcastle fans are going to love him. He did well for the under-21s. But it is a leap in an away World Cup qualifier to suddenly perform. And you look at Florian Wirtz, for example, there was some great stuff against Slovakia, but he's still adjusting to life at Liverpool. He's still adjusting to life in the Premier League. And I think, he's not quite sparkling in the way that he might. Jamal Musiala, who I think is their most important attacking player, is injured. So that's a huge blow as well. I mean, my suspicion is that this is more of a blip and that they will qualify for the World Cup. But I think they do then have issues, because I think defensively there are problems. I think Jonathan Tah individually, Antonio Rudiger individually are fine defenders, very experienced, but as a unit, Germany look really suspect defensively. So I think even if they qualify for the World Cup, I wouldn't have them down as one of the favourites by any stretch.
I was going to ask just a quick one on this. Northern Ireland, then. Have Northern Ireland got a chance here, do you think, Kevin?
I think they've certainly got an opportunity if they can score first and cause some real problems. Cologne should be a good atmosphere, but if Northern Ireland can start well, and Northern Ireland have scored in the last 8 games, so they will feel that, and they've got that win at Luxembourg, which is not that easy, to be fair. So if they can get that first goal, they can certainly cause a bit of anxiety.
Yeah, and as you say, defensively, Germany have been looking pretty poor of late. They've conceded at least twice in every match so far in 2025. But we're just going to move on from the international scene and talk about the Bundesliga for just a moment, because it was quite surprising, especially for those who maybe don't know much about Bayer Leverkusen and Erik ten Hag in particular. But his stint there didn't last very long, Kevin. What happened?
Yeah, it lasted 3 games, and I did the last of those, actually, and they were 3-1 up with 11 men against 10 and managed to draw 3-3. But actually, this wasn't about what happened on the pitch. This was about what was going on behind the scenes, and there was a complete disconnect between Ten Hag and his bosses, Fernando Caro, the CEO, Simon Rolfes, who's the sporting director. They had completely different views on the transfer policy, completely different views on how to motivate the team. Ten Hag didn't help himself. He could be quite an awkward character in media conferences, and he kept downplaying the team's chances. He kept saying he wasn't Harry Potter, although he did manage to disappear quite quickly. So, so look, I think this had been coming, and when he did get the push, although he hadn't had long in the role, he'd made a lot of missteps. I mean, you look at Granit Xhaka. Granit Xhaka was sold by Leverkusen. Days before he was sold, Ten Hag had come out publicly and said that he wouldn't be going and that he had 3 years left on his contract. He was too important a leader to let go. But the sporting director and the kind of recruitment team knew long before that was a realistic possibility, and they had Ten Hag going rogue and kind of going against the party line. So it was a bit of a mess from the get-go, really.
Wow.
Sounds like it. But it just sounds quite bizarre that the clashes that you're referring to there, you would have thought in the interview process they would have talked through these sort of things through. And at some point, obviously, the Bayer Leverkusen board, who appointed him, at that point thought, oh, he's going to be easy to work with. It seemed to have fallen away very, very quickly.
I mean, yeah.
The truth is he wasn't their first choice. That's the truth of it. They wanted Cesc Fabregas at Como. They thought there was a good chance of getting him.
Okay.
They thought he was going to be a really good transition between Xabi Alonso and the next guy.
Which kind of makes sense, actually, going for a young, upcoming manager for Bayer Leverkusen, yeah.
That's absolutely what they wanted, and they spent a long time negotiating with him, negotiating with Como. But the truth is that he's got quite a complicated arrangement with Como, where he's got shares, I think, in the club, and there's a lot of money there, and you live in Como, which is very nice. So there was that imperative as well. So I think what happened was they spent so much time trying to get him that when they didn't get him, suddenly they were on their backup list. And
Gotcha.
I suspect Simon Rolfes and the rest of them kind of stuck their fingers in their ears and said la 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 and just hoped it would work. And actually, Rolfes is getting quite a bit of praise for this, actually. You'd think he'd get a lot of stick for making a really bad appointment, wasting a load of money, but actually he's getting praise for having pulled the ripcord so early. But at this stage, we just don't know who's going to come in long term.
That was my next question. Who's in now?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Well, for now, it's going to be one of his assistants. Roger Meyer is going to take charge of the Frankfurt game, which is coming up on Friday. So he'll be in charge for that. But a lot of the names that they have been linked with, they're not interested in. So, yeah, Rolfes has got a lot of work to do to identify the right guy, but also to bring him in.
Well, you've been 10 out of 10 this morning, Kevin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
very
Kevin.
kind of you to say. I'll come on again.
You're always welcome. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin Hatchard.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers,
European football expert. Interestingly, Bilder, the German magazine, I think it is, or is it a paper? They outlined a lot of the other reasons as to why it didn't work out, and I'll just pick up on a couple of things. I mean, they said, for example, the atmosphere within the club was extremely cold. The players had no idea what they had to do during matches. They said the club wanted to sack him much earlier and believe they took too long. 3 games. 3 games. And they now, according to Bild, again, he's now considered the worst coach in the club's history.
Ooh. A little bit of an echo of Manchester United there.
Well, and he got
a
lot longer.
Well, he got 2 years and he won a trophy,
Wow.
So, but, there were things going on behind the scenes quite clearly at Old Trafford.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot more as well. They suggested that he just didn't get along with anyone at the club, not even his own...
Not even himself.
Well, you're looking in the mirror going, who are you looking at? Not even his own staff that he brought to Germany himself, so they say. Hence why his assistant's now taken over, obviously.
Yeah.
But very bizarre.
Strange going-ons.
Yes, indeed. Okay, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. So we're going to bring you plenty more from the internationals. Plus, we're going to look ahead to the US Open men's tennis final with the top 2 in the world taking on each other once more. Barry Cowan will be with us a little bit later on in this hour to look ahead to that. Good morning, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Thank you very much for joining us this Sunday morning. It is the former Nancy striker Tony Cascarino who's with me, Natalie Sawyer. And do you fancy winning 25,000?
I wouldn't mind, I could do with it.
I wasn't really asking you. But anyway, I agree with you. I wasn't, but I agree with you. No, I agree with you. I would quite like it
it's
too.
not for me, I'm not allowed, am I?
No, we're not allowed to get involved in this one, but you certainly can. So £25,000 in cash, plus Oasis tickets to their very last show at Wembley, which is later on in this month, 27th of September. So, if you are interested, listen up, grab a pen and paper, because we are giving you the chance to win our biggest competition yet. 2 lucky winners, yes, 2 will win a pair of tickets to see Oasis live at Wembley for the last time. But that is not all. Along with those tickets, one of you will then walk away with that massive £25,000 in cash. For all the details and how to enter, listen up right now, because you could be one of those lucky winners.
18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word Oasis to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission. Or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by the 19th of September at 9 a.m. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
We wish you the best of luck for that. OK, Cass, it's time for us to sort of delve into the papers and pick out a couple of stories that we've both seen. Actually, we've both gone for stories in the Sunday Times, but we'll come to your choice first.
Yeah, I've got our own Simon Jordan's got a column in the Times this morning, and it's about, he's talking about selling players to Daniel Levy and the truth of what it was like. And in the column, it's really interesting. He talks about, obviously, as a chairman of Crystal Palace, he dealt with him on numerous times. And one of his first instances was John Bostock, who's a future Palace captain. Spurs captured him for 700,000 from Palace, and Simon said it was a travesty.
Yeah.
But he talks about him as a negotiator. He had an incident with Wayne Routledge, who was in the Palace Academy. Tottenham were insulting, he says. Levy's tactics were insulting, like his method of how he went, how he negotiated 20 grand up here, 10 grand there, and it was a really slow process. But the big question is like what Simon answered, would he like him to run his sort of club, as an administrator and all the things he does? And he says, bloody hell, I would, yeah. He basically, absolutely.
But of course, this is the businessman of Simon Jordan, so I get where he's coming from. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a really
Tottenham fans still now will be like, come on, but what we... that is the takeaway, isn't it, from this Daniel Levy scenario, in that a lot of Tottenham fans see the worth and the legacy that he's left in terms of the profitability of Tottenham and the great business that it has become. But then you counter that with, well, look at our team. We're not quite where we want us to be right now, when you bear in mind how successful we are as a business.
Yeah, absolutely. And the little nugget in it all, you get a real feeling of where Simon's talking from, is because he talks of small increments of going up in wages and offers and all that, you could sort of see why deals fell down, because you're wasting the club's time, or someone would feel like you're wasting my time. And Simon alludes to that about Daniel Levy. And, Sir Alex Ferguson famously said, dealing with Spurs over Berbatov, it was a painful experience. And you could see why, because Daniel Levy's squeezing the last bit of lemon out, the juice out of the lemon, isn't he? And he's been great at doing that for Spurs. But there's also an argument you can say, well, that's probably why some of the deals you've lost along the way, i.e. Morgan Gibbs-White. Then you look at, Eze going to Arsenal. Could he have done it quicker, and could he have not negotiated slightly more aggressively?
Yeah, I like the little sort of side heading of negotiating with Daniel felt like being pecked to death by a tax inspector. Of course, look, you don't...
It's a really good one. It's a good article.
Yeah, and you don't become a successful businessman without that kind of...
Yeah, ruthlessness.
Yes, absolutely. But he also, within this piece, just to highlight, he says, I spoke to the former Spurs midfielder Danny Murphy about Levy yesterday morning, and he said, this is what Danny said, my overriding memory of Daniel is his kindness and reasonableness. Reasonableness? Is that reasonableness? I don't know how to say that, which is something people don't associate with him. And that's the interesting part as well, because there are so many of us that have never met Daniel Levy, don't know Daniel Levy. We don't know the person. We just see the figurehead, the man that was the steward of Tottenham for nearly 25 years. And as I say, the takeaway for many is, yes, he leaves them in a fantastic place, but unfortunately for many Tottenham fans, they just didn't see the rewards on the pitch.
No, which is the major issue, isn't it? What's happened on the pitch? Go on.
I want to quickly get to a Jonathan Northcroft story. It's really fascinating. The headline is England ball boy plan to stop best young footballers defecting. England are using a novel weapon in the growing battle between nations for the best young talent, and that is ball boys. So, for example, yesterday at Villa Park, when England took on Andorra, the ball boy duties were fulfilled by players from the periphery of the England under-15 squad in what is becoming a regular practice at home senior internationals. Now, the idea, supposedly, is to show that these players who aren't quite ready to be capped at junior level, but they're still on the sort of radar, they're saying to these players, we really do value you and want you to be a part of our setup. You're not quite ready to play, but they're using them as ball boys to kind of just, as I say, keep them a part of the setup and hopefully show them that there is a pathway to forge still with England, because according to this article, about 75% of players of academy age who are eligible for England also qualify to represent at least one other nation. So you can see that there is an increasing scramble for some of these players across a number of countries, for example. So that's why they're using the idea of, well, if we get you in as a ball boy, you might learn to love being a part of everything.
Yeah, the
You
connection.
might commit,
Yeah, you're making a connection.
England. So it's interesting. Again, we always talk about fine margins in sport. This is another one of those things, just to tempt a player to stay rather than be persuaded to play for another nation.
Yeah. And what did you say the actual percentage was?
75%. About 75%. That's hefty, isn't
it makes sense with that data, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I thought that was a really interesting piece there from Jonathan Northcroft. Okay, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. On the way next, we're joined by Barry Cowan to discuss the US Open finals.
Over the last few years, Formula One has gone from elitist and insular to a global entertainment brand. The transformation's down to American investment group Liberty Media, who cultivated a new image for the sport since buying it in 2016. Better access to drivers, improved content on social media and tapping into the US market have given F1 a massive boost in both attention and revenues. But is everyone happy? The fans certainly are, as evidenced by Drive to Survive. Almost 7 million people per season have tuned in to get all the gossip and all the drama from the paddock. The extra exposure means the drivers can demand a higher salary too. In 2010, the top drivers were earning $20 million a year, which isn't bad. But now, the very best earn 3 times that, with Max Verstappen getting a whopping $65 million in 2025. But money doesn't always buy happiness. Some drivers, including Verstappen, don't like the pageantry the changes have brought about. In Las Vegas in 2023, Verstappen said the drivers were made to look like clowns, and the event was 99% performance and 1% race. Some purists who still watch the sport feel the same, and that the spirit of competition has suffered. But Formula One and Liberty Media don't look like slowing down anytime soon. So expect more races, major events and exclusive access in future.
Good morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast with someone who certainly knows how to do a shampoo and set, Tony Cascarino, who had his hair chopped yesterday. Looking very smart.
Better?
Yes, very smart. I didn't think you needed it yesterday, but now I see the difference. I think it was a good decision.
Yeah, no, I needed to get it done. Get it cut.
Indeed you did.
Yes.
I'm Natalie Sawyer and we are with you until 10 o'clock this morning. Here are some of your headlines today. European champions Arsenal got off to a winning start in the Women's Super League, beating newcomers London City Lionesses 4-1 at the Emirates. Max Clark's penalty 8 minutes into stoppage time completed Gillingham's comeback as they drew 2-2 at Bromley in what some were calling the Kent derby. You dispute that a little, don't you?
Like I said yesterday, Bromley left Kent 60 years ago.
I know. That's mad, isn't it? It doesn't feel that long ago, hence why everyone still thinks of
Well, it
Bromley
used to be a
and
time where everybody thought south of the river wasn't in London. A lot of people south of the river, that's not in London, But obviously, London...
They have been incorporated.
Well, yeah, but it's just expanded. If you go through the history of London, it's expanded to an incredible rate everywhere. West, south, north, east.
Mm-hmm. Well, as a result, Gillingham remain top of League Two. I'm sure Cass is very happy about that.
Yeah.
And in tennis, world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka beat Amanda Anisimova to retain her US Open title and finally secure her first Grand Slam trophy of the year. And she spoke afterwards to explain why it meant so much to her.
And going into this final, I decided for myself that I'm going to control my emotions. I'm not going to let them take control over me. And doesn't matter what happens in the match, if she break me back or if she plays incredible tennis. I mean, of course, it's a finals and she's going to be fighting, especially after recent final. I knew that she would love to have, like a better result. So my mindset was just going out there, fight for every point, doesn't matter of the situation, just focus on myself and focus on things that I have to do to win the match. And I think from what I understand today, that the lesson learned, and I really hope it will never happen again if I'm going to be playing another finals, that I'll be more in control.
So that is Sabalenka then talking about her win. It has been a tricky year for her, that has to be said. So let's discuss that and what is to come today at Flushing Meadows with the men's final as well. Pleased to say joining us is former British tennis player Barry Cowan. Morning, Barry. How are you?
Barry?
Yeah, good morning, both of you. Yeah, really well, thanks.
Interesting, obviously, to hear from Sabalenka. It has been a really, really difficult year for her. But to come away retaining her title, at least it ends on a high as such.
Absolutely. I was really pleased for her because what she's had to go through this year has been extremely tough. And for me, great champions, it's not when it goes wrong, because it goes wrong for every tennis player. It's how you bounce back. And that's, the Australian Open was painful. The French Open it was like a horror movie watching her collapse mentally. And she was very honest after that loss to Goff at Roland Garros. She got a lot of criticism. I felt a little unfairly because she just didn't handle the situation as well as Goff. But those past experiences, also at Wimbledon, where I felt the whole tournament she was a little bit anxious, almost wanted it too much. As she said, just be in control of herself, worry about herself, because she is the best tennis player. And that's why I'm pleased for her, because I find it's always at the end of a year, if you're world number one and you haven't won a Grand Slam, there's always, I feel, a little bit of unfair criticism. So there'll be no talk about that now for Sabalenka.
No, well, it's strange, Barry, isn't it? Because the women's events have been won. So many different women have won a event, and it's really not felt like a number one. Now you feel that's where we are today. There is a number one in women's tennis.
Yeah, I mean, we'll obviously talk about Sinner and Alcaraz in a minute, but every era needs rivalries, and we have gone through, I think, in the women's, no rivalries. You only have to. I think it's the last 8 or 9 Wimbledon champions now have been different winners. You want to. Personally, I wanted a Swiatek Sabalenka final. That would have been magic, because they would have been the best 2 players. Swiatek obviously lost to Anisimova. Great story for Anisimova, but. Yeah, I mean, hope now that Swiatek stepped up big time on the other surfaces, Sabalenka's stepped up here. Maybe that's something moving forward in 2026 we'll have, just like we've had this year with Alcaraz and Sinner.
Yeah, which we've talked before about, Barry, but we know that this rivalry is just going to go on and on and on. It's just so exciting for men's tennis. I suppose the only downside to it, and there can't really be a downside when it's so exciting when these two match up, is the fact that everybody else is sort of being left behind a little bit.
There is no downside. There will never be any downside. And
Okay.
if someone said that to me, honestly, Natalie, it would be find another sport, because you want to see great champions play each other in the biggest matches. Yes, you obviously Grand Slams, you have 2 weeks, you want to see a few upsets, you want to see some stories along the way. But ultimately, in the final, what is going to get the eyeballs of casual tennis fans watching tonight? Because Sinner and Alcaraz are playing each other. And yeah, I absolutely can't wait. I have no idea what's going to happen. I really don't. I think when you've got 2 players as good as both of them are, my gut feeling, I mean, I got it wrong at Wimbledon. I thought Alcaraz would win at Wimbledon against Sinner. I do feel mentally he's in a better place than he was at Wimbledon. I felt in the final, that final never really got going. Maybe that was expected after what happened at the French Open. But I think one key stat for me, guys, with Alcaraz, he's only lost serve twice in 6 matches. And often the feeling that I felt with Alcaraz is when he reaches his top level, no one can match him. But there will be dips. And I think the fact that he's only lost serve twice has shown, I think, over the last couple of weeks that he's having fewer and fewer dips because he's getting a little older and more experienced. It's been an amazing year for Alcaraz.
I was going to ask you, Barry, on that, because I watched the semi-final and Alcaraz beat Djokovic 3 straight sets. And the second was tight, went to, obviously a tie break. But the third, I just felt I'm watching a player that's achieved so much in Djokovic lose 6-2, but lose comfortably in that final set. There was no more left in him, whether it's due to the brilliance of Alcaraz. But I just felt I can't see now that Djokovic getting that extra Grand Slam.
I mean, Djokovic to reach 4 semi-finals this year is nothing short of exceptional. But I think we spoke a couple of weeks ago about Djokovic, and if it wasn't you, forgive me, it was someone else. And I never had Djokovic winning the US Open. I had him doing well, but I could never see him beating both back-to-back, because if you look at what's happened since Wimbledon, obviously Djokovic was injured there, so that was really unfortunate. But while Djokovic has sort of been getting his body ready to play here at the US Open, Sinner and Alcaraz have been playing competitively. And, obviously Djokovic, the level is there, but I just don't think the level is there now to be able to beat Sinner and Alcaraz over a long period of time. And personally, Cass, watching that match, in that second set, I remember a few years ago, Djokovic never lost tie breaks. When he beat Federer in the Wimbledon final and they had 3 tie breaks, Djokovic didn't make one unforced error. You could absolutely 100% know Djokovic could come through those stages. I thought in that tiebreak he hit the wall. I think they had a long point, maybe the third or fourth point of the tiebreak, which Djokovic won. Then a couple of points later, he went for the drop shot. Physically, I don't feel now over 3 or 4 hours he can beat Alcaraz and Sinner. And so unless that changes for Djokovic over the next 3 or 4 months, roll on next year where Sinner and Alcaraz are going to be battling it out. What is it? 5 majors now for Alcaraz, 4 majors for Sinner, 24 years of age for Sinner, 22 for Alcaraz. This is going to be talking
next
about
decade.
A long time. Yeah. Exactly.
And we should talk about Sinner in just a moment, but just on Alcaraz, something you've obviously pointed out, how he's only dropped a couple of games, not even a set. We're just talking a couple of games at this year.
Service games, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, which isn't so mightily impressive. One thing that's always been a little bit of a criticism about him is at times in matches he can kind of lose a little bit of concentration. Do you think he's shown a slightly different sort of... has he been slightly different at the US Open this time around? Bit more focused, if you like.
Just maturity,
right.
Just experience, and that's where what you don't want. He's a free spirit, and I love watching free spirits. You want to see those amazing shots. If you watch it, I mean, as amazing as, let's say, Sinner is. You can watch a match for 3 hours of Sinner, and I don't think there are as many jaw-dropping shots as if you watch an Alcaraz. Alcaraz will hit a couple of special, the X Factor. It's almost sort of Federer-like. And as a coach, he's been with Juan Carlos Ferrero, former, world number one. And we know how good Ferrero was as a player, and he's been exceptional as a coach. You want to sort of channel that free spirit. You don't want to kick it out of him. And I think, we're seeing that with Alcaraz, even at the beginning of the year, guys. I don't think he played particularly great tennis, but he was still winning tournaments. Now he's definitely playing, I think, consistently the best tennis that he's ever played. They played at the French final, they played at the Wimbledon final. They've talked coming into this match that they both bring the best out of each other. They have to keep raising their bar. We heard that, didn't we, coming from Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer in that amazing era, and that's why you need those rivalries, because they're always striving to be better than the other.
A word on Sinner then. He is the reigning champion, so looking to defend his title tonight, but also a 2-time Australian Open winner as well, having won it this year and last year too. Do you think he is the best on hard courts?
Statistically, that will say. That is true. He's, Grand Slam final of the last 5 that he's played. US Open, Australia, now the US. I think if you look at the surfaces, it's the perfect conditions for Sinner in terms of movement. I mean, he was sliding on the grass at Wimbledon, but he does move even better on the grass than he does on the clay. So I think that's definitely a fair comment, but Alcaraz, of course, has beaten Sinner on hard, and they beat him at the end of last year in Beijing. That was no surprise. That was over 3 hours for 3 sets. But I think we are now, what we're seeing with Sinner and Alcaraz is they are complete players on all 3 surfaces.
Yeah.
And I just find that also unbelievable at 24 and 22, as I said, their ages. That even Nadal, you think of Nadal early on in his career. Yes, he was amazing on the clay, but he sort of had to evolve on grass and also on hard courts. I think he became a much better player towards the end on the hard than he did than the clay. Obviously, Federer was the same. He evolved to be an even better clay court player. But these 2 guys are pretty complete. And to add another thing to what tonight offers, whoever wins is world number 1 as well.
Yeah, that's
when the rankings come out.
Indeed. Are we in for a long night, do you think?
Oh.
Yes.
I'd say yes. Yeah.
But I said that at Wimbledon. I was wondering with that late start at Wimbledon, I'm wondering when they might have to finish the 5th set under the roof. Because I can't split these 2. I think they're so close. It's one of those matches. I cannot say a 3-setter. I just can't. How is that possible? Because if one of the guys gets ahead, the other will respond. So 5 sets, and we know what Alcaraz's record in 5-set matches is. I think it's 13 wins and just 1 loss, something outrageous like that. So, I mean, your splitty hairs. You'll have someone who will disagree with what I'm saying. I think, back Sinner. Yeah, you're absolutely welcome to back Sinner because I would go 51-49 Alcaraz. How about that?
Well, we'll take that.
That's a very good sitting on the fence.
Well, no, he's slightly edging towards Alcaraz.
Okay, I'll correct myself. I'm going 99% Alcaraz. There we go.
Oh, much better.
Well, by the way, if you say 51, that is not sitting on the bench either, isn't it?
No, you've made a decision there.
Yeah.
Barry, is always brilliant. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
That's Barry Gowan, former British tennis player. And just to let you know, the talkSPORT Daily podcast has seen a new brand refresh. Every day you can hear in-depth chats from talkSPORT's household names, including Jeff Stelling, Ali McCoist, Adrian Durham, and plenty more too, in just a bite-sized 15-minute episode. That sounds pretty perfect. So you can listen on your commute to work, you can listen in the shower, wherever you really fancy. That is the talkSPORT Daily podcast, available first thing every morning on the talkSPORT app, as well as where you get your usual podcasts from. Coming up next, we're going to discuss in detail Elliot Anderson after a pretty impressive debut for the Three Lions yesterday. Good morning, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT with the former Republic of Ireland striker Tony Cascarino and me, Natalie Sawyer, as we take you through until 10. And here are some of your headlines this morning. World number one in tennis, Aryna Sabalenka battled past the home favourite for Amanda Anisimova to retain her US Open title and finally secure her first Grand Slam trophy of the year. 2025 has certainly been difficult for Sabalenka. England recovered from a shaky first half, showing... England have recovered from a shaky first half showing to comprehensively beat Australia 47-7 to set up a Women's Rugby World Cup quarter-final against Scotland. And there are a load of headlines and sports stories to check out on our website, talksport.com. Sean O'Brien can tell us more.
Lots happening over on talkSPORT.com, but let's start in the National League, where one team broke the record for the longest round trip in English football history, and they face 2 even longer journeys later this year. Elsewhere, Dejan Kulusevski sent stomachs turning on Instagram with a photo of his knee while he was undergoing surgery. That is on the website, but do be warned, it is not for the faint-hearted. And find out exactly what happened between Bruno Fernandes and the Saudi Pro League this summer, including a direct approach from Cristiano Ronaldo himself. You can read all that and more over on talksport.com.
Yeah, you can visit more at our website. I did it, didn't I? I did what Sean O'Brien said. Check out the Dejan Kulusevski picture. Don't look at it if you're eating. That's all I'm saying. It's not, Anyway, we'll move on. Let's discuss Elliot Anderson, shall we? He made his debut for England yesterday, having started over the last 12 months for Nottingham Forest. He certainly was one of the standout performers for England yesterday. And after that victory over... Are you all right?
I'm laughing because I'm thinking Max is here early for the news. I forgot. Well,
we'll come to it in just a moment as to why Max is here. But after that game yesterday at Villa Park, Anderson spoke to our England correspondent Faye Carruthers.
That was such an assured debut. How did you feel out there?
Yeah, I felt really good. I enjoyed it out there. The lads helped me a lot, and we won, which was the main thing, so I'm buzzing.
He was on his feet on a number of occasions, clapping you, particularly when you'd lost the ball, got back up from the floor, on your feet, recovered it again. You were just tenacious in everything that you did. When you first stepped out onto the pitch, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, just stay calm, really. Obviously, my England debut, I was quite nervous and things, but it's just going back to the basics and doing what's got me here. So, yeah, that was just trying to control the emotions, really.
Okay, so that's what Elliot Anderson had to say to our very own Faye Carruthers. Joining us then to talk more about him and the qualities that he has is someone that will know him well in terms of being a Forest fan. It's also our news region, Max Scott. Max, hello.
Good morning.
As we said, they're one of the standout performers. And what's interesting, he's saying there, I was nervous. And Thomas Tuchel even had said, building up to the game, that there were nerves during the whole sort of build-up to this one. But again, as Faye said, that was really assured. He was one of the standouts. So tell us about the qualities of Elliot Anderson.
Yeah, well, look, in what was obviously quite a turgid pedestrian performance from England, every cloud has a silver lining, and it's the Geordie Maradona. I really think that, he's only 22, but he's a complete midfielder. I think he's got, I think a bit of Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Zinedine Zidane all rolled into one. He's got that defensive tenacity and aggression. We saw him recover the ball. I'm not a stats man, but 15 times yesterday. I think he's got the passing range of someone like Paul Scholes. He's not there yet, of course, but I think he's got that in his locker. And then technically with the ball at his feet, we see week in, week out for Forest him beating men in tight spaces. And we're used to him playing higher up the field for Forest. Usually we have a defensive midfielder that plays behind Anderson. So the fact that he was able to play deeper for England and slot into it so quickly, I think just shows he is a complete midfielder. And so the inclusion of Jordan Henderson might well be an uninspiring pick for England fans, but I think Elliot Anderson is an antidote to that.
Well, I would add, look, the way he played for the under-21s as well, which was being that midfielder that he robs possession of the opposition all the time. He does that brilliantly well. And I said to you off air that he's got that Rodri, that Caicedo ability as a midfielder just to keep the ball everywhere.
Yeah.
He does that brilliantly. I don't see the numbers in goals because he got a couple last year, didn't he?
Yeah, 2 goals, 6 assists.
Yeah, he got a couple last season. I don't see that. You never know. He, as you said, he can play further forward for Forest and add to that. But what you are saying is, if this is the guy that sits in front of the back four and protects them, he does that brilliantly well. And certainly everybody in front of him is going to obviously benefit from that.
Yeah, look, he's a conductor. He's got that athleticism and he's got that passing range and vision to be able to do that. And I think we saw that last night in terms of trying to keep the pace of the game going and keeping Andorra, as you'd expect, sort of backed up in their own box, their own half. And so the fact that he's able to play multiple different roles, I think, is a credit to him. I think his performance last night, and you mentioned earlier in the show, Natalie, Noni Madueke, I think is a credit to the young Lions pathway. Even though that's not really Thomas Tuchel's shtick, I think he's realising actually that these are the sorts of players that England need. And so, it wasn't just him going forward yesterday. Even a couple of times, Mark Gay was dragged out of position and he's comfortable sitting into the back four. And so he's not just the athlete with that passing range. I think his sort of intelligence and technical ability is really going to see him, I think, have a long England career. And Forest are going to have a job on their hands sort of trying to keep him, because buying him for 35 million seemed at the time as a bit of PSR jiggery pokery. I think Forest's gain is certainly Newcastle's loss. The fact that they have to lose one of their very own just in order to comply is a sad and dire situation, but great for Forest. And I think the game time and working under Nuno, of course, we know he's defensively really astute. I think we've seen that rub off on Elliot Anderson's game, and I think he's exactly what England need in that role.
Yeah, I would add to that. I think it would rub off Jordan Henderson being in the squad as well, because of the experience he's seen. He was the young player when he was at Sunderland and got the big move to Liverpool, and got, was a real stalwart in the England team for a period of time. But that rubs up on Elliot.
I'm sure it does. Yeah,
in a way, it just does, because I saw the celebration by by Jordan Henderson yesterday. When England scored, he was absolute giving it in, and I'm thinking he's subby. He's like 35 years old, and he's giving it the thumb. You can see him now. Fist is gone.
Yeah, there's no question.
And it rubs off that he wants Elliot Anderson to do well as well. Of course, he wants to play, but he'll push him as well. Which helps.
And the other issue, of course, is there's no Jude Bellingham currently. So when he's back available, that becomes another issue with Elliot Anderson, Declan Rice, etc. All the other midfield options that Thomas Tuchel will have to think about. But certainly, from a debut perspective, it was a great performance from Elliot Anderson. And a player, may I say, Max, we have been rooting for quite a while to be in the England senior side. But, he benefited from that under-21 experience, certainly having been a part of the winning team this summer. But we all hope that he's going to have a great career for England as well. Max, I suppose you might as well stay there because you're going to be doing the news in just a few minutes. Right, but that is it for this hour. When we return, we will, as I say, continue to look ahead to what's to come today, have more England chat too. Plus, the NFL is underway for its new season. We'll talk about that next as well.
Premier League's profit and sustainability rules are sold to us as financial fair play, a way to keep clubs from going bust. But there are those who feel it's starting to look a lot like a system that protects the big boys and keeps the rest in their lane. Here's how it works and why people feel that way. So clubs can only lose 105 million quid over 3 years, which sounds fair, but here's the kicker. Your limit includes how much you earn. So if you're one of the traditional top 6, you've got massive global revenue streams and you can spend way more while still technically following the rules. Meanwhile, ambitious clubs who've got money like Newcastle, Villa or Forest, well, they're bringing a knife to a gunfight. Newcastle might be backed by Saudi billions, but they just can't splurge the cash. Their commercial income isn't there yet. Want to buy world-class talent? Well, PSR says to them, your owner might have the money, but you're not making enough in shirt sales in Asia for that. The Magpies won their first domestic trophy since 1955, qualified for the Champions League, which you'd think would be a great springboard for them to go on and start building a team to challenge at the top. But because of PSR restraints, they couldn't break their wage structure for a new Alexander Isak contract, and look what's happened there. Nottingham Forest tried to invest to survive. They did that, but they got punished anyway. Meanwhile, clubs like Spurs, until last season, hadn't won a trophy in over 18 years, but because they rake in cash from the new stadium, they get a much bigger PSR allowance than a newly promoted club who are just trying to stay up. And let's not forget the loopholes these big boys are exploiting. Chelsea found the trick with those long contracts, selling the women's team. City are masters of related party sponsorships. Etihad this, Etisalat that, all within the rules, and fair play to them for capitalising on those opportunities. But what about the smaller clubs? They don't have that luxury. Now look, financial sustainability matters. Nobody wants another Bury or Morecambe situation. But there's increasing concern that rather than levelling the playing field, the current rules cement the existing hierarchy. So what's the solution? Well, either loosen the reins so ambitious clubs can spend within their means, or cap spending based on something other than revenue. Otherwise, we're just watching the same 6 teams swapping silverware most seasons while the rest play musical chairs for 7th. And that, folks, ain't what the Premier League was built on.
Good morning to you. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. We're live on your radio, YouTube and smart TV as well. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me is the former Gillingham and Millwall striker, Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
Here's what you're waking up to today. England did the expected and beat Andorra 2-0. Well, what did we make of the performance?
That fans have a right to come here and expect to see 4 or 5 goals put past that team. These are Premier League players. These are the elite players. I'm as baffled as some of the fans here as to why that hasn't happened.
Yeah, talkSPORT's Adrian Durham not pleased with what he saw at Villa Park. Thomas Tuchel, though, is convinced England are on the right track. Are you? Give us a call, 03717 223344. Max Verstappen crossed the line to seal his 5th pole position of the year at the Italian Grand Prix, and he couldn't hide his delight at qualifying.
Yes, guys, yes! That's unbelievable. Really, really good job. It worked out. Relaxed there, it's all good.
Yeah, talkSPORT's F1 reporter John Jackson will have more on the Italian Grand Prix later on in the show. And we're going to talk Wales as the Dragons on a real high after their top of their World Cup group. Can't say that right. They are top of their World Cup qualifying group after 5 matches.
We were in the transition of the post-Bale phase, which was a huge player for us. But look, Craig Bellamy's making some big decisions.
Indeed, that was Sam Vokes there. And we will have plenty more on all of that and much more too on the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. OK, I'm sure we will talk Wales a little bit later on, but Craig Bellamy's doing a pretty decent job, isn't he?
Yeah, and who would have expected that? If you consider what Craig as a player was like, and he got into trouble every now and again, somewhere along the line he's come to his senses, and he's doing a great job. So fair play to him.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of work behind the scenes that he's done.
Mhm.
Obviously being Vincent Kompany's assistant,
yes.
and then taking on the job himself.
Mm.
So he's gone around as well. He's put himself out there.
Yeah, indeed, and doing a really, really good job as the Wales boss. Right, we're going to start this hour, though, by looking ahead to a new season in the NFL.
The Philadelphia Eagles have won Super Bowl 59. They have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22.
Henry along the left hash, inside the 5, breaking tackles to the end zone. Touchdown, Ravens.
James Cook is going 46 yards for the touchdown. The Cook is in the kitchen again.
This is a free play. He throws a deep ball for Chase in the end zone.
Yeah.
Jamar's got it. Touchdown.
Steps his foot. Has Samaje Perine rushes out to the right-hand side. Has a man that throws the interception at the 39-yard line. Returning out to numbers 25, 20. Good machine down to the 10, down to the 5. Touchdown, Eagles!
Yeah, so it's time for us to discuss the new NFL season. Now, it did start on Thursday with the Dallas Cowboys falling to the Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. And then in Brazil, the Los Angeles Chargers beat the Kansas City Chiefs. talkSPORT 2 will bring you exclusive coverage of some of the Sunday night football then coming your way, some of those big games, including the marquee one between the Baltimore Ravens, who go to the Buffalo Bills. Happy to joining us to help us look ahead to it. It is talkSPORT's NFL editor, Will Gavin. Will, how are you? You must be pumped for the new season.
I will.
Yeah, massively so. But I think it's too early in the morning to hear me shouting that loudly back at the Super Bowl in February. That's given me a shock to the system on the first Sunday of the season. Yeah, delighted to be here.
Hey,
Thanks,
but you
guys.
were trending, weren't you, after that commentary? It was fabulous.
Yeah, wild. Last I checked, and obviously I kept checking, between TikTok and Instagram, it had over 10 million views.
Wow.
So bizarre, right? You just don't expect that sort of thing. It is purely, it was a great game. It was a great moment. We set it up really beautifully with talking about kind of Mahomes' legacy before he made the mistake. And then both those teams have already played this season, and the results have gone very much the way of the Super Bowl. So already some fascinating storylines, and we're only 2 games into 285 of this new year.
Well, why are fans excited about the Ravens against the Bills?
Because it's huge. This game was in the playoffs last year, so it's kind of the kind of conference semi-finals last season, and was an absolute barnstorm. The same site, 27-25 game. The Ravens losing to the Buffalo Bills, but probably should have beat them. One of their key receivers dropped a touchdown right at the end of the game, which would have sealed the victory for them. And a lot of people think that the Baltimore Ravens are the favourites to go to the Super Bowl from their conference, from the AFC. So, including me, I've got them down as my Super Bowl winners this year. Spoiler warning. But the 2 quarterbacks is the key reason. Lamar Jackson for the Baltimore Ravens is the ultimate do-it-all player. He is phenomenal with his legs, with his arms. He makes people miss left, right and centre. He's just this supreme, incredible athlete who kind of a little bit lithe, doesn't necessarily look like a standard quarterback, slightly thin, but just so movable and so evasive and such a joy to watch. And then on the other side, Josh Allen for the Buffalo Bills. If you imagine a similar quality quarterback, but rather than this lithe, incredible athlete, he's like a 10-ton truck ready to just bowl over you. Brilliant arm, brilliant thrower of the ball. And these two were the leading vote getters in the MVP race last season, 1 and 2 for that title. So for us to get a game this good, a game which could be a preview of the Super Bowl semi-finals, the AFC Championship game this early in the season, feels like, it's the longest off season in all of sport, 7 months long. And yet we get a game this good to kickstart the year. It's like going from fasting to suddenly eating 40 chocolate bars. It is ridiculous. So, we're absolutely delighted that that's our first game.
We've already mentioned then on Thursday it all began with the Cowboys against the Eagles, but slightly overshadowed by the spitting incident. What's been the fallout to all of that?
Yeah, and look, I think the fallout to it has been surprisingly minimal considering. Like at the time, it was the opening play of the game. An Eagles player goes down injured on the opening kickoff, and so there's a bit of a delay. The Cowboys players are gathered up. Jalen Carter, who's this monster of a man, 330 pounds or 23 stone, 6'8", approaches the Cowboys huddle and then is seen on camera spitting at the Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott. He gets ejected from the game. He's easily their best defensive player, and there was a lot of talk that he might be suspended for next weekend when they have to go on the road and face the Chiefs in a Super Bowl rematch to only their second game of the season. But there was a lightning delay later in the game. During the lightning delay, whoever was working in the TV truck went back and watched all the replay angles and saw that actually the Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott, spat, at least in the direction of Jalen Carter first. So it all got a bit tit for tat. It all got very silly on social media, as you can imagine. A lot of reaction post-game. But what it seems is that whilst Jalen Carter will probably see quite a sizable fine, the last time we saw someone fined for spitting on the field was 20 years ago, but it was about a $35,000 fine. So who knows what that is adjusted for inflation nowadays. But he probably won't miss game time now, which is kind of massive for the Eagles as they face the Chiefs next weekend.
Will, we always have a surprise package. So tell us who you think we should look out for.
Oh, it's a really good one this year because I like the last few years have been very, what they say, very chalk in America. Like the teams you expect to go are going to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs have been the last 3 years in a row. On the NFC side, quite often it's the absolute powerhouses. Who do I like to come from the outside and be a surprise? I want to pick a sexy team, but I'm not. I'm going to pick a not very sexy team at all in the Arizona Cardinals. Not heavily supported here in the desert, not particularly cool place, Arizona. But they've been kind of slowly building over the last few years. Their defense was one of the best in the NFL, despite the fact they don't have necessarily the talent. If you think about them as a plucky upstart pushing for European football, that's kind of what they felt like as being on the fringes of the playoffs in the last 2 years. I quite like them to take the step this year and at least get to the playoffs. And like I say, once you're in the big dance, there's always every opportunity.
And just lastly, I mentioned obviously that the Kansas City Chiefs were out in Brazil taking on the Chargers. I'm not sure if it was just to do with them or if the Taylor Swift factor played a massive part in the reception that Travis Kelce received at the airport. I've never seen anything like it.
Look, to be fair to Travis Kelce and to be fair to the Kansas City Chiefs, this is a team who have been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls, won 3 of them. He is one of their 2 best players in him and Patrick Mahomes. He is a superstar in his own right? If you love the sport, Travis Kelce is a guy who's going to the Hall of Fame, first time he gets the chance to. This is a superstar player anyway. So I think the reaction would have been pretty good regardless. But when you add to the fact that he might have missed out on a Super Bowl ring in February, but he's got a different type of ring coming his way now. Yeah, sorry, it's his joke, not mine. Look, the press, our man Will Varney was at the press conferences there in Brazil, and he said that you couldn't get within 100 feet of where they were going to be speaking, that Travis Kelce was just absolutely mobbed. The first question was, of course, about the engagement and the response to it, but he's very good. He's been in the public eye for a long time. I think it's one of the reasons that those two probably work so well, as they understand each other's wild lifestyles that they've had to lead. And he answered the question in a very jovial way and then kind of batted it away. But kind of more importantly for them as a team who have aspirations of going back to the Super Bowl for a 4th straight year, they didn't look great on Friday night. They're the bare bones there. There's still, it's a long season. It's only 1 game, but they beaten the Chargers, who are a divisional rival of theirs, the last 7 times that they'd meet in a row. 7-0 they were over the last 7 games. And the Chargers beat them, whilst tight on the scoreline 24-20, I thought they were the better team by a significant factor. And so a lot of work for the Chiefs to do if they're going to be joining us in San Francisco in February, live on talkSPORT.
Well, if you need some others to join you, we can come out. It's not a problem.
I need someone to carry my bag. So if you're
happily
offering,
do it. I'll do it. No problemo. I'll be there. Thank you, Will.
Cheers, Will. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.
By the way, the latest episode of our brand new refurbished talkSPORT Daily podcast is available now, as Greg Rosenthal and Will Gavin reveal their 3 storylines to keep an eye on in the NFL season, as well as which rookies UK fans should look out for too, as the NFL then returns to talkSPORT tonight. You can find the full episode on all of the usual podcast platforms as well as on the talkSPORT app. And do listen out for our commentaries all season long on the talkSPORT network, including, as Will said there, the Super Bowl in February. A reminder, we'd love to hear from you this morning with the direction you feel England is going in right now. Thomas Tuchel's all glowing about it. He thinks it's all going well. Are you confident heading into the World Cup? I know it's not job done yet, but it's not far off perhaps England booking their place in 2026. Are you concerned, though, that even if they do get to the World Cup, this is a team not quite ready yet to win it? 03717 223344. That's the number to call us on. That's the number to WhatsApp us on. And 81089 is the text number. On the way next, the latest odds from Coral. Tuning into the Weekend Sports Breakfast with a man that once got 2 assists in an FA Cup semi-final, Tony Cascarino, and me, Natalie Sawyer. And there's a lot to make of the front page of our talkSPORT app if you want to look at it right now. This week, we've been finding out Alan Brazil and his favourite music artists.
What's your favourite Beyonce song, girl? Single Ladies?
I forget the titles, but
okay.
she is brilliant.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about
But
it.
no one's that nice, though. She's always seems really, really nice, Beyonce. No one's that nice. Do you remember that elevator?
Yes.
No, what happened?
I don't know, mate.
Her sister was scrapping with her husband in an elevator and it got picked up on CCTV.
Oh, really? Oh, dear.
Yeah, so it's not all as plain sailing as she makes out.
Can't be
Beyonce.
scrapping in elevators, though.
Right, yeah. Do you know who's your favourite? I thought Whitney was my...
Whitney, yeah.
Oh, Whitney. Can't go wrong with a bit of
That's
Whitney.
tragedy what happened to her.
I know, mate. Just when you watch the documentary, you're like, oh.
Do you know who I like? Pink. I think she's really good.
I've seen her in concert, you know.
Yeah?
Yeah, in Bolton back in the day, believe it or not.
Bolton?
In the Bolton Stadium.
What age was she? 15?
What's your favourite Pink song, girl?
I've no idea, but she's
just
brilliant.
a good song.
Yeah, I think she's hugely talented.
Yeah. Stunning as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm talking music here, Gab.
Pink, I mean, I've heard good things about her in concert.
Have you?
She's meant to be very good, but I've never seen her personally. But I would never have thought Alan would even know who Pink is.
Well, look, as you get older, you just tend to, you get stuck in your own little world and the music you listen to. And music isn't, it's not shown like it was once, it once was, because Top of the Pops would be on. You'd be watching all the bands and the singers, starting their careers. That's not there now. It's, downloads. A lot of older people don't do all the downloading of songs. Spotify, it's just completely changed the music industry.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to keep up with it. Do you know what number one is today?
Not a clue.
I haven't got a clue. At one time, we all knew what the number one in the charts would be. We all knew.
Yeah. Well, that's also because partly you'd go into a shop like an HMV or Our Price, if you remember, and you'd be able to buy your singles, but it would be listed as number one, and you'd be like, oh, I want that one as well. So
and also, number ones are different than they used to be.
Yeah.
They register in different ways. What it, how it's worked out to be the number one record.
Yeah,
it's different.
Yeah. talkSPORT Breakfast, by the way, is back for you tomorrow morning from 6 with Jeff Stelling and Ali McCoist, and Big Al is back on Wednesday.
Can you name a Pink song?
I don't know if I could. I can think of some of the. I can think of the songs, but I don't know if I know any of the titles, which is terrible. But then I am the notorious one that gets all the lyrics wrong, and me and my son will sing certain songs in the car as you're doing little drives and stuff, and he'll always be like, "Sorry, what did you just say?" And I'm like, I'm trying to move on from it because I'm terrible for that. But and I'm not very good at remembering anything like.
I'm up there with you on that, and probably above the amount of mistakes I make on lyrics.
Anyway, right. You can find that clip and loads more as well on the front page of the talkSPORT app. Download it from your favourite app store, and then you can find all of your favourite stations. So talkSPORT, talkSPORT 2, Times Radio, Virgin Radio, and Talk there as well. Everything covered in one app. Okay, right now, let's bring you the latest odds from Coral.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT. Brought to you by Coral, the home of the free-to-play Golden Rewards Shaker. 18 plus max one reward per player per selected Shaker day. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Restrictions and T's and C's apply. GambleAware.org.
Good morning, Simon Clare.
Simon.
Good morning. I can tell you that the number one at the moment is Golden by Hunter X, EJ, Audrey Nuna and Ray Ami.
I'm sorry, who? What? I don't even know who that is.
Okay, I love it. I love joining this show, reminiscing about the old times when we used to put our cassettes in and record the songs off the radio, trying to cut out the DJ.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Simon, my question to you, what's going to be number one for Christmas?
Oh,
is it
good
Pink?
Question.
What price, Pink?
What is it these days? It used to be Rage Against the Machine used to release their records, and of course back in the day it was X Factor winners. I don't know who's going to be number one.
Mr. Blobby, wasn't he?
Mr. Blobby,
he was. Yeah, Mr. Blobby was. Yeah.
Way back when I started in betting, it was around the time that the Spice Girls used to be number one. two became one. I think it was. I mean, yeah. And oh no, Westlife used to have a number one. You know, but yeah, the other thing is that's funny. What I would say, which is fantastic, is my daughter's 19, but because of YouTube and the access to old music, you know, her favorite bands are bands like Oasis, Arctic Monkeys. She listens to Elvis Presley. You know, so I think it's always become timeless music, which is amazing. So the rebirth of, and some of her friends are really into 80s music, more so than I think I was in the 80s. Do you know what I mean? So it's great, really, that you find that they're all listening to songs of yesteryear. Makes me feel young again. It's great.
Oh, well, that's nice. Well, let's talk odds, shall we? And in particular, after yesterday's performance, everyone's still expecting England to make it to the World Cup, but there's a slight hesitation of actually whether or not this team can win the World Cup.
I know. I think that's it, really. You know, I think it was disappointing to have sort of 1-0 and 2-0 wins against Andorra. Isn't thrilling. Look, they're still 1-20 to win their group. Their main rival is Serbia. They play them on Tuesday. They're 4-5 to go away and beat Serbia, and then obviously they got the home leg in November. So, you know, World Cup qualification, World Cup winning this group at 1-20, they should win it. As I say, it's just now the debate. They're still 7-1, fourth favourites to win the World Cup next summer. But at the moment, I suppose it's are we feeling it, Cass? What do you think? Are we feeling that this side is blending into a World Cup winning side, or should we not read too much into it?
Well, look, it's like club teams. You can be really good before Christmas and, you know, vice versa, and be exceptional or poor in the second half of the season. Germany, for me, have been a funny team, predicting them. And England, likewise, I'm not sure where they are at the moment. But 7-1, no, I wouldn't be backing England at 7-1. I really wouldn't. I think they should be plus 10s at least. So, but let's go to, I mentioned Germany, Northern Ireland tonight. Obviously, they're going to be odds on, but how short are they, considering they've been stuttering, to say the least?
Listen, I was funny. I was just looking at the preview. That loss against Slovakia was only their fourth ever time they've lost a World Cup qualifier. So it's a notable blow. You know, I mean, Slovakia aren't a bad side. We saw that in the Euros. Northern Ireland got off to a good win against Luxembourg, and Luxembourg are not a bad side these days. And that to go away and win 3-1 was great. Let's be realistic. They're odds. You know, they're big. It'd be a big shock if they get anything from this. They've never beaten Germany in 9 previous meetings, but Germany are 2-11. But I looked last night and they were 1-8. So they've eased in the betting, even if they're still long odds on. And the draw is shortened to 13-2. Northern Ireland 14-1. I think if they could go there and frustrate Germany and if they could come away with a point, that would be like a massive upset in itself. But it's going to be tough, isn't it?
Yeah. The US Open final, Alcaraz against Sinner, the third major in a row that they faced each other in the final.
Yeah, so I listened to that great preview just before 8 of this. And this is the new era, isn't it? Djokovic now can't really get past them, as you saw in the semi. These are the big two. They've faced each other in the last 2 Grand Slams. They're one each. It's nothing between it. We can't split them. It's 4-5 Sinner. It's effectively 19-20, nearly even money Alcaraz. So by a sliver, we make Sinner the favourite. But, you know, for Alcaraz to win 3-2, it's 9-2. For Sinner to win 3-2, I think that's what we all want, a 5-set thriller. It's also 9-2. And I don't know about you guys. I've watched them both. It feels to me we can't split them in the betting, but Alcaraz is the player that everyone roots for and is exciting, and Sinner's the machine. Isn't that right? I mean, are either of you Sinner fans, or would you both be cheering for Alcaraz?
Alcaraz.
I'm an Alcaraz fan as well. I have nailed my colours to the mast a long time ago with that one.
What do you make of the buzz? What do you make of the buzz cut?
Oh,
he's only dropped his serve twice this tournament. He has these stutters during the tournament, but he's won every set, lost his serve twice. You're not a fan.
I'm not a fan of the buzz cut, but that's just because I don't know if he suits the buzz cut personally. That's just my own thinking. But, you know, if he wins the US Open, then it's fine. It's not a problem.
Exactly. Let him, it should be a good match to watch anyway.
Indeed. Simon, we've run out of time. Thank you.
Cheers, Simon.
Have a good day, guys.
Great to have you on. Simon Clare from Coral there. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org. Please do gamble responsibly.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT. Brought to you by Coral, the home of the free-to-play Golden Rewards Shaker. 18 plus max 1 reward per player per selected Shaker day. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Restrictions and T's and C's apply. GambleAware.org.
All right, next we're joined by our latest Sunday musical guest. That's the band Only the Poets.
Who would have thought a sporting event's halftime show could have a bigger impact than the game itself? That seems to be the case with the Super Bowl halftime show. In 2024, Usher brought in an audience of 180 million worldwide, the biggest in the event's history. But how did singing and dancing get to be the centerpiece of America's biggest sporting event? The first Super Bowl was held in 1967. Initially, the halftime show was a display purely for the fans in the stadium, with marching bands, dancers, and American patriotism for all to see. And that's what it was for the first few years. Disney had a go with a few questionable displays in the 1980s, but it wasn't until '93 that we got the first glimpse into the future of halftime shows. Michael Jackson's stellar performance gave NFL execs something to think about. A raft of massive names followed, including Diana Ross, U2, Janet Jackson, who gave us the most famous or infamous wardrobe malfunction of all time. So how many people are involved? To give you an idea of the scale, Rihanna's 2023 performance included 800 people, and experts reckon it cost $13 million. What's even more impressive than some of the names on the bill every year is the fact they do it for free. The artists know the exposure they'll get from doing the show will rocket them up the charts across the world. The Super Bowl halftime show will be a fixture in pop culture for years to come. So the question is, who next?
Good morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. It is Tony Cascarino, the former Crockenhill striker, who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer. Here are some of your headlines today. European champions Arsenal got off to a winning start in the WSL, beating newcomers London City Lionesses 4-1 at the Emirates. Cristiano Ronaldo took his international goal tally to 140 in 222 appearances as Portugal opened their World Cup qualifying campaign with a 5-0 hammering of Armenia. And Red Bull's Max Verstappen snatched pole position for the Italian Grand Prix from Lando Norris with the fastest lap in Formula One history. For more on what's to come at the Italian Grand Prix, talkSPORT's F1 reporter John Jackson has you covered.
Morning guys, I'm predicting quite an exciting race this afternoon at the Italian Grand Prix in Monza. Max Verstappen is on pole position. It's his 45th pole position for Red Bull, with Lando Norris second, Oscar Piastri third. He got that pole position in the last few seconds of qualifying yesterday. It was super exciting, and he's actually set the fastest ever Formula One lap, an average speed of 164.466 miles an hour, which is faster than the record that was previously held by Lewis Hamilton at the same track, Monza, back in 2020. So he'll have to keep the McLarens behind him. He's quicker on the straights, they're quicker on the corners. And as for Lando Norris, he starts ahead of Oscar Piastri, and he needs to finish ahead of Oscar Piastri because Piastri has a 34-point lead in the championship and there are only 9 races to go. As for Lewis Hamilton, he qualified 5th, but he's had a 5-place grid penalty from the Dutch Grand Prix last weekend, so he will start the race, his home race for Ferrari, in 10th place. Can Max Verstappen make it 2 race wins on Italian soil after victory at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix back earlier this season, or can Lando or Oscar really make this championship battle come to life? We'll have live updates on talkSPORT from 2 p.m.
And we'll look forward to that, John. Thank you very much. Now it's time for a little bit of this.
Keep on
I guess that's on me. So sorry for leading you on.
Love it. This is Only the Poets that you are listening into right now with I Keep On Messing It Up. And I'm pleased to say, joining us here in the studio right now from Only the Poets, Tommy, how are you?
Hi, Tommy. I'm so excited to be here.
Are you?
I love talkSPORT.
Oh.
Honestly, I'm not just saying that because I'm here. This is like the most excited I've ever been to do any interview. Literally.
Well,
so
I'll tell you what, when you
I listen
came
to
in-
you guys, White and Jordan, Drive. I listen to everything.
But when you came in, you like bursting.
Oh,
you were
sorry.
like desperate to get
I know.
in.
I was just
It's fabulous. No,
Go ahead,
it's
sit
what we
down.
want. At least you're pumped and ready to
Yeah, I'm so excited.
We'll come to football because we are a Reading fan.
I am, yes.
But let's talk a little bit about Only the Poets first and how it all came about. Tell us the story of the band.
So I was a singer-songwriter for a long time, and then obviously I'm from Reading, and Reading Festival was a big inspiration in like why I wanted to be in the band. So I met our bass player. I used to support his band as a solo artist, and he's a great bass player. And then when his band broke up, I was like, "Do you want to start jamming?" So that was about 7 years ago. And then Clem and Marcus they were in a band together. They came in, so it was like two kind of bands met, and we've been on a wild ride the last 7 years. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
Been great.
So tell us the challenges of modern day music and going through all the different scenarios that, you know, trying to make it and then being established and then again going even bigger. It always feels like I listen to artists who talk over there through their careers, and the journey can sometimes be so unexpected. They thought it was this way and it was totally opposite.
Yeah, it's just it's those 10,000 hours, you know what I mean? And you got to have tenacity, and you got to really love doing it. And I think with music brings so much joy, not just to us as musicians, but to everybody, right? So the minute you do get a couple of people getting into your band or your music, and you start, like for us, like I remember we had like 3-4 people turn up, and it's like the best thing ever. And like that gives you that real drive and determination. But yeah, it's tough out there. Like it really is tough. But my advice is just to anyone starting, is just like, just keep going. Chase it. Chase that dream. Do you know what I mean?
Inspirations, Tommy?
Oh, for us, I mean, we are right at the start, you know, like for me, my dad was a DJ, so I grew up on like the Stone Roses and bands like that, and the Beatles. Like I remember him spinning vinyl. We used to have vinyl in the house. They're my like earliest memories of music. But more recently, like we're just great lovers of pop music and just bands in general, really. Like Reading Festival, going to watch huge bands perform like on my doorstep, that to me made it feel like it was like possible. Do you know what I mean? Like getting in a cab and going 10 minutes, then watching like Bombay Bicycle Club are a big inspiration of mine, and I remember watching them and being like, maybe I could do that. You know what I mean? So like, but yeah, we're great lovers of modern pop music now. But yeah, bands is like that's what made us pick up a guitar.
Right.
Oh, I love that. And in terms, I mean, we obviously had a snippet there. I mean, how do you describe what Only the Poets are about?
Oh, I mean, like now, because we've kind of gone on a bit of a journey musically, where we've landed now, and it's been great because our album is coming in January. I feel like we've really found our sound and our sonic now. And I would say it's more like, I think we're a bit more sort of like alternative pop now than indie pop, I'd say. Like a lot more synths. Like I keep on messing up that one you just played. It's very synth-led, and like a couple of years ago we didn't really have that. So like we're a little bit genre bending. Like the record definitely takes you on a bit of a sonic journey. So I'd say like in indie alternative pop music, I would say that's kind of the best to describe the sound.
Yeah.
How many of you?
4.
There's 4.
Yeah.
So you're the guitar singer?
I'm the singer, and I play rhythm guitar, but our guitarist will come in shortly. He's way better than me, so he'll be playing guitar today, not me.
Well, before he comes in, that's Clem, isn't it? We should talk about Reading.
Yes.
Which is obviously your team.
It is.
It hasn't started off particularly well this season, just outside the relegation zone, which I know is very early in the season, but only 1 win from 6 so far.
Yeah. It's just been, obviously with the ownership as well, we've had a tough couple of years, haven't we? Obviously Rob's come in and bought the club, and we're in a rebuild. I think we only had 5 players on the contract at the end of last season. Wow. So we're bringing a lot of people in, a lot of new faces. I actually went to the game last week and we got a win. We got our first win of the season. I'm confident now. I would love us to push for top 6, but we've got to start getting points on the board. But it's been, for us Reading fans, it's been tough, you know, because our ownership and, you know, I was worried that we were going to go into a, you know,
administration,
or worse.
Well, there was talk of it, wasn't it, at one stage? But Noel Hunt has done really well, hasn't he?
Oh, and he's one of, you know, I remember having a season ticket and watching Noel. Do you know what I mean? His brother Stephen as well was a great player. So he's one of us, and I've got every faith in him. I just really want us to, like, you go to the ground, and I don't think we should be living in League One. I really don't. I feel like we've been in the Premier League as well, haven't we? Like, I was there season to get older for those years, and I would love for us to go back up. But I've got every faith in Noel, and we're starting to play some decent football. So we've got some good players in on loan as well from some pretty.
Well, it's always been a club that, you know, would get players from certainly the London clubs and you know, profit from that. But the fans have, obviously, you've lost a great number over the last few years, which is inevitable when you've had such a struggle off the field.
Yeah, I mean, like it breaks my heart. Like going, like I went a lot last season, and like the ground just is like
soulless.
Full, and there are a lot of empty seats, and that you don't, as a football fan, that's not nice to see, is it? You want everyone to get behind the team, but we'll see. Like, I'm confident. I would love us to get into the playoffs, but even if we finish mid-table and then we can rebuild to next season, but we need to get some points on the board.
Yeah, and I suppose a lot of those empty seats were, in a way, partly protesting fans.
Absolutely,
who didn't want to back the old owners, and now you've got the new owners in. Hopefully, it's onwards and upwards, like you say. Clem has joined us.
Hello, Clem.
Hello, Clem.
Nice to have you with us.
Apparently, you're good with the guitar.
He is good with the guitar. He's way better than me.
Better than sports, I'd say, yeah.
I know you didn't want to come in because you didn't want to talk about sport.
It's just not. He's the guy. He loves this show. Honestly.
What about the other band members? Are they?
Yeah, they're big into football. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're big into football, but I am the only Reading fan. Yeah, they support the bigger teams.
Well, we might as well hear what you have to offer. What are you playing and singing for us?
Well, it's actually what you played at the start.
Yeah,
I'll keep on messing up. Yes. Just an acoustic version for you.
Oh, nice.
Oh, right.
Yeah?
Lovely, yeah.
Go for it.
Looking forward
brilliant.
to it.
All right, thanks,
great.
guys. Let's do it.
Right, you ready, mate?
Ready? Yeah, ready. Girl, just running from what I feel inside. I should be honest, letting you down in my design. So I keep holding on to you by my side. Tell me why I'm finding reason, hoping, believing. I know it's not love. I keep on messing it up. I keep holding on when I know it's wrong. I keep on messing it up. I'm so scared to leave, but it's killing me. To be finding reason, hoping, believing. I know it's not love. I keep on messing it up. I keep holding on when I know it's wrong. I keep on messing it. I guess that's on me, so sorry for leading you on. I get so wrapped up in everything, biting my tongue. You need somebody who can give what you need. Instead of me just finding reason, hoping, believing. I know it's not love. I keep on messing it up. I keep holding on when I know it's wrong. I keep on messing it up. I'm so scared to leave, but it's killing me. To be finding reason, hoping, believing. I know it's not love. I keep on messing it up. I keep holding on when I know it's wrong. I keep on messing it up. And I keep on messing it up. I keep on messing it up. I keep holding on when I know it's wrong. I keep on messing it up. I'm so scared to leave. It's killing me to be finding a reason, hoping, believing. I know it's not love. I keep on messing it up. I keep holding on when I know it's wrong. I keep on messing it up. And I keep on messing it up. I keep holding on when I know it's wrong. I keep on messing it up.
That's lovely.
Thanks, guys.
You did not mess that up. That was absolutely brilliant.
And there's a real distinctive sound to your voice, which is really lovely.
Yes.
That's not just the morning, is it?
You tell us.
Well, I mean, it's a little fine. Thank you so much.
Really
honestly, thank you for having it. This is when I saw this go on the calendar, I was very excited. So thank you guys so much.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. But before you go, very quickly, we're going to go through the predictions that you've both made in the football. I know there's a couple of games still to go. But yesterday in the League One game, Doncaster Bradford.
He did mess up.
Well, Tommy.
Right.
What on?
Hang on.
3-1 you went for a Donny win.
I did.
Perhaps you went for an away victory, 2-1, but obviously, as you say, Tommy got that one spot on. Then at home, Park, as Plymouth took on Stockport. I think you went went for a Stockport 2-1 win. Cass, you went for a 1-1 draw. It turned out to be a 4-2 win for Plymouth.
Yeah, we're both miles away there, weren't we?
And you were slightly nearer to the England scoreline than Cass was, but I mean 2-0, as we know, was the final score. You predicted a 4-0 win. I did. Tommy, Cass went for 6. I mean, what was he thinking?
I think we was all hoping for that, weren't we? Really,
We were hoping for it.
A little bit boring again.
Fell way short, unfortunately.
Yes.
And then as for tonight, or today, we should say you've gone for a Germany 5-1
so
win
sorry
over Northern Ireland.
They are just looking really, really good. But we'll see. I mean,
they lost last time. They lost their last
Slovakia.
3.
Germany did. Oh, okay. Well,
It's all right,
I
Tom.
mean,
It's all right. It's all right.
Well, maybe this is when it all turns around.
It's all right.
I'm going to definitely want to get that right.
You're concentrating in the music world.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Cass has gone for a 2-1 home win, but you've gone, as I say, 5-1 to Germany. Ooh. And in the WSL, live on talkSPORT 2, 12 o'clock kickoff, it's Liverpool against Everton in the WSL, the Merseyside derby. A 2-2 draw.
Yeah.
You have predicted, whereas Cass, you've gone for a 2-0 home win. I think because he's a Liverpool fan, a slight bias.
Nice, fair.
Big club.
There we go.
Rate that.
Listen, it's been fantastic. Thank you very much.
Great stuff. Really good.
You're going to be performing at O2 Academy, Brixton, for £1?
Yes, yeah.
That's a steal.
For £1. Yeah, well, because music should be accessible
That's
for everybody.
brilliant.
And we really believe in that. And regardless of your income and your background, it should be accessible. And it saved us in our early years. Going to those live shows is why we're a band.
Yeah.
So we wanted to come and celebrate the album and make it as accessible as it can possibly
That is amazing.
Well, Brixton Academy is a great place to play.
That's our dream.
I was going to say there's a lot of big names who have played there.
It's like a rite of passage. Like every big artist ever been through there. So yeah, it's a real.
Well, that's on February the 2nd, 2026. If people are
yes, yeah,
and want to head down to there.
Next week's pre-sale on Thursday next week.
Okay.
General sale Friday.
And Only the Poets is the name to look out for on all the sort of social media and on Spotify, etc. And best of luck for it all.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, on the way next, we're going to discuss Wales, who are having quite the resurgence under Craig Bellamy. That's next. Good morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT with Tony Cascarino, Crockenhill's finest, and me, Natalie Sawyer, as we take you through until 10 this morning. World number one in tennis, Aryna Sabalenka battled past Amanda Anisimova to retain her US Open title and finally secure her first Grand Slam trophy of 2025. Red Bull's Max Verstappen snatched pole position for the Italian Grand Prix from Lando Norris with the fastest lap in Formula One history. And the Republic of Ireland fought back from 2 goals down to snatch a 2-2 draw with Hungary in their first World Cup qualifier, meaning they've got a point on the board and more to come, they hope, as well. But right now we're going to discuss Wales, and it's certainly turned out to be a pretty, well, exciting tenure, shall we say, for Craig Bellamy. His side, faced Kazakhstan in Astana in a World Cup qualifier that was as demanding off the pitch, Cass, as it was on it. A 7,000-mile round trip, the furthest the Welsh men's team have ever travelled for a qualifier. 1 training session is all they could manage before flying out. And when they arrived, they had an artificial pitch, jet lag, and a patched-up squad as well. Before the game, Bellamy kept repeating the same phrase, no excuses. And certainly that turned out to be the scenario because they won the game 1-0, even though they admitted just how chaotic the build-up to that match had been. Joining us now to reflect upon everything that's going on with Wales, who are top of their qualifying group, it is our Wales reporter, Lawrence Mora. Lawrence, good morning to you. How are you doing?
Really well, thank you. Good morning, guys. You okay?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you look at the group, 5 games played, won 3, drawn 1, lost 1, topping the group 2 points ahead of North Macedonia. I know the others have a bit of catching up to do when it comes to games played, but you've got to be happy with how things are right now for Wales.
Yeah, I think certainly if you thought that, you know, the opening 5 games of the group would go as planned, the victories there would put us in a pretty strong position. The draw in Macedonia is not a terrible result. North Macedonia very strong at home. They also drew with Belgium at home in the group. So that kind of result has equaled itself out. The defeat in Belgium does put Wales kind of in a little bit of a sticky situation in terms of finishing top. Basically, they play Belgium in their next qualifier. If they win that, then it's all steam ahead. The 2 final games, they can win those and top the group, which would be incredible. But then, of course, you just have to beat Belgium at home. And that in itself is a task. So yeah, it is a tall order. I think Wales need to win their final 3 games to qualify. If they finish second, obviously, that puts them into the playoffs. If, worst case scenario, they do lose a couple of these games, finish third in the group, then there is the playoffs in March through the Nations League, and they won their Nations League group, so they do have that fallback. But certainly I think where Craig Bellamy is, and that game in Kazakhstan, as you said, with all the things that went against them in it, all the troubles they had in terms of that. I mean, they had players that didn't even join the camp, from my understanding, until late on Monday because of transfer deadline day. So they were sorting out their transfers, sorting out their futures. So therefore, they turned up on Monday evening, literally to fly on Tuesday to Kazakhstan. So yeah, it was, I think, grind out the victory, take the 3 points and move on.
Lawrence, briefly, just give us an idea of what you think Craig Bellamy has brought to the table with this Welsh team, because obviously he's had a good number of really, really terrific results. But there's, you know, anyone who's I've spoke to, or no, I don't know Craig, I've never met him, but no one expected him to be a manager.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And when that's sort of mentioned to him, he goes, well, that's because none of you know me as a person, and kind of throws it back at you in the way that he does. But I think what I found with Craig, surprisingly, is the level of detail and thought. And he certainly seems to have gone on a journey personally, I think, from his playing days to his managerial days. I think he's looked at how he behaves, you know. He always tries to put this calm persona about. I don't know exactly, in changing rooms and all that kind of stuff we don't get to see there, but he does bring a calmness to the situation, certainly sort of off the pitch. And what he's brought to Wales in particular is, look, we've not got the best players. We have not got this pool of players like an England or a Germany. So what can we do differently? Well, we can be the most intense team in Europe. So he's very data-driven as a manager. He always talks about the numbers of his players and being across the numbers of his players. And by that, he means their sprints, their intensity, their profiles, that sort of thing. And he's already taken Wales from around about 30th in Europe into the top 10 of the most intense teams. That means the teams that are going to run, press, turn possession over high up the pitch. So he's got a fascinating way of playing, and at the moment the players have all bought into him, and certainly it's been a very, very good start for him as a Wales manager.
Yeah, they've got a friendly on Tuesday with Canada before the October international break. Well, they'll have another friendly, if you can call it that, with England, which then will set them up, hopefully, for that qualifier against Belgium too. So just quickly, any standout performers in this Wales side currently?
Yeah, I think the big thing for Wales is the team ethic. That is the really big thing for Craig in the way that he sort of pulls it all together. But look, it's the spine of the team. It is Ethan Ampadu in the middle of midfield, who Craig hasn't had playing enough for him. He's only played 4 games in Craig's reign so far. He's going to be absolutely vital in that 6 role if Wales are going to progress and kind of trouble England, trouble Belgium and those type of teams. Harry Wilson has been an absolute superstar for Wales. And when I watch him, I do wonder how he doesn't just play for Fulham all the time, to be honest with you.
Gifted.
He's like a super sub for them, though, isn't he?
So gifted.
And you kind of feel like he's almost fallen into that role, don't you, as a super sub? But for Wales, he plays more in the 10 role. He's given this license by Craig Bellamy to kind of roam in between, and he picks the pocket. He's been an absolute standout player for Wales. But then across the board, we had young Dylan Lawler making his debut against Kazakhstan. That was fantastic. 19 years old, Cardiff defender. He is a name to look out for, I think, in the future. Big things for that young man.
All right. Brilliant, Lawrence. Thank you.
Cheers, Lawrence. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
By the way, just to mark your cards for a little bit later on, Sean Dyche is back on talkSPORT for 3 hours as he'll be alongside his mate Johnny Owen. That is from 12 o'clock, where I'm sure they'll talk about many of the big stories from the week, including Daniel Levy's shock exit from Spurs. And they're also going to be joined by the only man to lead Wales to a World Cup since 1958. That's Rob Page. So that's Johnny Owen and Sean Dyche from midday on talkSPORT. On the way next, we'll dissect what happened in that game between England and Andorra.
result of a merger between Corinthians FC and Casuals FC. Now, Corinthians FC were founded in the late 1800s when the FA's top brass were sick of getting pumped by Scotland every time they played them. As a result, a man called Nicholas Lane Jackson set up an amateur side which would bring in the best players who could all play for the national side. And it worked. It wasn't long before England were dominating the international fixtures they played, and it was largely down to Corinthians. In fact, in 1894 and 1895, they played consecutive games where Corinthians provided the entire England 11. But the thing is, the players refused to play professional football. They didn't believe in it. They wanted to spread the values of sportsmanship, competition, and played for the love of the game. It also helped that most of the players were Oxbridge graduates who didn't need the money. But instead of entering the league and cup competitions, they played exhibition football and toured the world, bringing the beautiful game with them. And it was this which spread the game throughout the world and made it so popular. Most famously, in 1910, they travelled to Brazil. And the locals in Sao Paulo were so impressed, they started their own team under the same name. Yes, the same Corinthians who won the FIFA Club World Cup in 2021, one of the biggest football teams in Brazil. Now, they were global superstars, and despite not being professional, Corinthians drew in the crowds. Everybody wanted to play them, everybody wanted to watch them. So much so, they regularly played the winners of the FA Cup in what eventually became the Community Shield, winning most of the time. They actually inflicted Manchester United's worst defeat, 11-3, a record which still stands to this day. Now, fast forward to today, Corinthian Casuals still don't pay their staff or players. The ethos of sportsmanship is still at the heart of everything that they do. And even though they're a side in the lower leagues, if you make the trip to King George's Field in Tolworth just off the A3, you'll most likely bump into Brazilian Corinthians fans who often make the pilgrimage across the globe just to watch their founding team play.
Good morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me it's the former Millwall and Gillingham striker, Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
England did the expected yesterday. They did beat Andorra 2-0, but what do we make of the performance?
I think we could have, had life easier, but overall, where it was possible, I think it was a much better performance than in June.
OK, well, Thomas Tuchel is convinced England are on the right track. We'll discuss that in more detail in just a moment. Cass's Republic of Ireland had to come back from 2-0 down to draw 2-2 in their first World Cup qualifier against Hungary.
It's not easy to come back from a 2-0 down at this level, and especially against a team like Hungary that is ranked 30 places above us.
And that was the Republic of Ireland head coach Jaime Hallgrímsson, and his reflection on that result. Max Verstappen crossed the line to seal his 5th pole position of the year at the Italian Grand Prix, and he couldn't hide his delight at qualifying.
Yes, guys, yes! That's unbelievable. Really, really good job. It worked out. Relaxed there, it's all good.
We'll have updates from talkSPORT's F1 reporter John Jackson from 2 when the race gets underway. But let's get straight into it in that game at Villa Park. It wasn't pretty, but England got the job done against Andorra, live on talkSPORT.
Now,
he's got 10 matches over 9 months to get it right before the real business starts.
Not everything came off today, but I feel like when you play against a stubborn team, you have to have that mindset of I'm just going to get the ball and go and go.
So many more progressive passes into the final third than we've probably seen in any game under Tuchel so far. And he's taken a touch off an Andorran defender to beat his goalkeeper and give England the lead.
One of their players plays in the equivalent of National League North. So how on earth is it just 1-0 and that was an own goal?
We could have had life easier, but overall, where it was possible, I think it was a much better performance than in June.
Kane making an early run. It's Rice coming around the back, and he's headed it in for two. Much better than the two displays in June. Clearly still a lot to work on.
If we win the World Cup, nobody's going to remember a dull 2-0 against Andorra. But Thomas Tuchel had said to us, it's time to start showing the fans. For me, that really hasn't happened.
Yeah, so an own goal and a header from Declan Rice sealed the victory for England. Perhaps not the statement performance that many were hoping for, but at the end of the day, it's job done and 3 points on the board once more. Let's find out how talkSPORT's voice of football, Adrian Durham, feels about that result. He was at Villa Park yesterday and he joins us now. Morning, Adrian. How are you?
Adrian.
Morning, Natalie. Morning, Cass. How do I feel about the results? I feel absolutely fine because they're 4 wins from 4. They haven't conceded, top of the group. If they win in Serbia on Tuesday night, then they are more or less effectively qualified for the World Cup, and that is the task in hand. How do I feel about the performance is something slightly different, though.
Well, I was going to say, Adi, you're still doing your ratings because I'm not sure where you're going to go with a manager to certain performances.
I am doing the ratings. They're on the website, talksport.com. I'll give you a few little secrets here. The manager got 3 out of 10. But you know what? That is based on the fact that he promised so much and didn't deliver. And this is one of the issues he's finding out as England manager. There's a way you've got to conduct yourself. Gareth Southgate learnt it over a period of time. There's a way you've got to speak in press conferences. There's a way you've got to not promise too much, and therefore you look pretty good when you over-deliver. Thomas Tuchel promised us last week in press conferences that England will be aggressive, they'd be more front foot, they'd be more fluid. For me, yeah, they probably were technically. And one of the great things about working with Jim Proudfoot and Stuart Pearce is they have the stats, they have the knowledge to deliver those points that are relevant during games. So there were more front foot passes, forward passes, aggressive passes into the box. However, it didn't look great on the eye, and I don't think Thomas Tuchel delivered. So he's got to stop promising stuff, basically. Just realise it's a qualifier that they've just got to win and get over the line. He'll be judged on the World Cup rather than qualifiers, I think.
He says the direction is the right direction that England are going in. So do you feel that he's right on that as well?
Yeah, I mean, you could break that down. It sounds like a strange thing to say when you've only beaten Andorra 2-0. There's two things to take into account here. First of all, Andorra are in a stepping stone process to get better, and we're talking long term. Their manager has been their manager for 15 years, and his job is to make them better. So they're going from being battered 5 and 6-0 every qualifier to only being beaten 2 or 3-0. 3-0 by Serbia in June, 2-0 by England yesterday. So they're getting better, but they had no intention of winning the game. Even at 1-0 down, they weren't trying to attack. So there's a problem with these qualifiers that the other team isn't trying to win. They're just trying to keep the score down. And they do that by blocking every single path forward. And they worked really hard to do that. Now, there wasn't any quality from them. It was just destructive. So from an England point of view, yes, they were better. Technically, you can look at various points and facts to say, yes, they were better than the game in Barcelona in June, the 1-0 win. However, it still doesn't look great when you only beat a bunch of part-timers 2-0 at home.
I think, the biggest issue for me is that, you know, if you've got talent that England clearly have, if you look at the value of their players, what they've been sold for, the clubs they play for, that you should be able to break down a stubborn, tactical side with very limited talent still.
And therefore, you have to look at the reasons why that doesn't happen, because you're spot on. And he picked out, highlighted Eberechi Eze, who he said didn't play particularly well. Some would describe that as throwing him under the bus. I would look at it and say, well, hang on a minute. Eze's been given a great opportunity to be the number 10, the creative force against Andorra, and he hasn't taken that chance at all, the manager's right to say, well, he didn't play well. That's one of the reasons that didn't happen. I don't think Harry Kane played particularly well. You could talk about, as Stuart Pearce did, how Andorra blocked up that middle, so it really wasn't a game for the number 10 and number 9 to shine. Well, I'm looking for more from them. You're right, Cass. You've got to look for more from these players who cost an absolute fortune and deliver at club level. Out wide, I thought England played well. Madueke, I thought, was superb. I thought he was excellent. But they've got to get crosses in more quickly, more sharply, more briskly. And when they did that, they scored 2 goals, getting balls into the box. Do it quicker, and you're likely to get more goals.
Yeah, and as we're finding out, there are more and more teams that will come up with a low block, so we have to find a way of getting through them, certainly. Also, what was interesting at full time, obviously the players did a little lap of honour to receive applause from the fans that had remained, but my goodness, there were a lot of empty seats by the time they did that. That's pretty demoralising.
Yeah, we back in the 80s in the old Division 4, which Cass will remember, Peterborough United, end of the season, last home game, always did what they called a lap of honour, what we the fans called a lap of dishonour. I think there was an element of that yesterday. The fans had gone. And what was worrying about that was this wasn't a 10 o'clock finish. This finished just before 7 p.m. And Villa Park isn't a million miles away from the middle of Birmingham. It's not the easiest ground to get away from, but there was no real reason other than the fare that was being slopped up to them led the fans to think, well, let's get out of here quick because we ain't going to see anything special. Again, I go back to Andorra here, who didn't come to play a game. I saw a message on social media saying I'm more interested in Bromley-Gillingham, the League 2 game that was going on at pretty much the same time, because it's more competitive. And it was, but that's 2 even sides both trying to win the game, and it finished 2-2. With England-Andorra, it's just Andorra accepting they're going to be beaten, knowing that a victory, moral victory for them, is to be beaten by not many goals. And that's exactly what happened. They weren't trying to win the game. It's a very difficult situation. I had this conversation years ago on talkSPORT that, a bit like the FA Cup, in qualifiers, you should have possibly a pre-qualifying to kind of weed out some of those countries that aren't even trying to win games. That's why we'll get less qualifiers like yesterday, where it's not competitive, it's not really interesting to the public, where they get more and more resentful that you've got to break up the Premier League action to play these kind of games. I got accused of being arrogant at that time by talkSPORT's Barry Glendenning, funnily enough. But it wasn't about that. It's about what's helpful for those smaller nations to get better, and also what's helpful for the football public, those who pay the money to watch the games, because yesterday wasn't really a competitive game. You didn't have 2 teams trying to win it.
No. Age, good selection of books behind you. You can see you got the Beatles, so yeah, good judge of music.
Thank you very much. There's a lot of Smith's books there. I'm not sure if that's up your tree or not.
Not bad, but not the Beatles.
well, after yesterday, heaven knows I'm miserable now.
Oh, very good. Look, safe travels to Serbia. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks, great show. Cheers.
Adrian Durham there, and you can actually hear more from him on our talkSPORT Daily podcast with the England debrief. Adrian will be alongside Jim Proudfoot and England legend Stuart Pearce as they react to that 3 Lions performance against Andorra, plus look ahead to what is to come on Tuesday in their latest World Cup qualifier in Serbia. Now, later on, talkSPORT's Michael Waydock will take us into the world of athletics, but next we'll be saying hello to an old friend. morning. You're tuning into the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. We are live on your radio, YouTube, smart TV. We are everywhere. And it is the former Chelsea striker, Tony Cascarino, who is with me, Natalie Sawyer. And all morning we've been saying, get in touch. Give us a call if you want to discuss England and what you make of them right now, especially after that performance against Andorra. Yes, it's another win on the board. Yes, they're top in their group. They're unbeaten and yet to concede. But unspectacular is a word that I've seen also to describe that performance. If you want to join us, give us a call, 03717 223344. And it's Serbia next. Cass, obviously the toughest, really, of any of the opposition that England are going to face in this qualifying group. Yeah, well, in relative terms, you'd think that's not a particularly really tough match in European football because there's far stronger nations than Serbia. But the way we looked upon it in the summer, with England playing Andorra, then Senegal, and losing to Senegal 3-1 at home, you know that it could be a tricky game. And they're going to be way better and obviously more offensive. And who couldn't be more offensive than Andorra? So, yeah, it'll be a challenge. And it's away. So there'll be a lot of eyes on this particular game, especially the manager, who's going to be looking at his team and thinking, right, this is a different type of game for you. Well, John, the Everton fan, has rung us this morning, wants to have his say on it. How are you doing, John?
Hi, good morning. Nice to talk with you.
You too.
Well, England hasn't changed, has it, for the last 30 years? And that's the honest-to-God truth as far as I'm concerned. I always thought, every manager said the same thing. Doesn't matter where the player's from, who he's playing for. If a player's in form, he's going to, you know what I mean? Now, Marcus Rashford, with the greatest of respect, hasn't been in form. Everyone said there was no creativity, so you would think, let's get a creative player who's enjoying his football, who's ripping the Premier League up, who's nominated for Player of the Month at a new club. You know what I mean? That's not a fashionable club anymore. So Jack Grealish, totally overlooked. And one other point, if I may say so, on England, I am sick of hearing about people saying Jordan Pickford shouldn't be playing for England. It should be. Name any other goalkeeper, if you like, on every show that comes on. And the man has never let England down. He's never let Everton down. He's been an absolute stalwart of the England team, I would say, for the last 5 years. That's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, John, you're spot on with Jordan Pickford because he's been the number one and really with no challenge, as much as Harry Kane's been the number one at centre forward. I'd like to think if Jack Grealish carried on over the, if he's consistent over the course of a season, Thomas Tuchel will have to, bring him back to the England squad.
Well, he's already said, didn't he, that he is keeping across
I'm sure he would, because he's a talent. And if he gets his game going and starts, look, we're in early part of the season. We're talking at Christmas and Jack Grealish has had a really good 3-4 months at Everton and performed with goals and assists. He'll call him back in. Well,
it could even be as soon as October because he's already said, I'm watching him. So, if he has a good couple of games in between this break and the next break, he could well be called into that one, John. But you're right, absolutely, to highlight him. Thank you very much for your call, John. Really appreciate that. And I think a lot of people are raising their eyebrows as well at the inclusion of Marcus Rashford at this present moment. Now, that in part is... Look, I haven't seen Barcelona this season, so I don't know how they're getting on and how he's faring in Spain, for example. But I think a lot of people, especially when you consider when he brought him into the previous England squad at that time, I'm not sure he really warranted being in that squad at the time either due to form. But he obviously sees something in Marcus Rashford and believes in him.
Well, it's the pace. He was looking for a winger to go past his fullback and obviously cause havoc.
Yeah.
That didn't happen last night. But I think Marcus's place in the England squad is hanging in the balance. He's going to have to play his very best football. And certainly playing it in Barcelona would help. And when the Champions League gets underway, his performances have to improve because he won't make the squad. He done okay at Villa. I say okay. In certain games he played really well and he reminds you how good he can be. But again, over that period, still you'd go, Villa, that wasn't, they weren't back in for him. I know they had financial issues, but I'd say he has to do more.
OK, now, for the last time, it's time for a bit of this. Stats. Expected goals. Possession in the final third.
Possession.
Clean sheets.
What a save.
Yellow or red cards?
He has to go.
Shots on target.
Shots on target.
These aren't just any stats. These are Natalie Sawyer stats. Well, that's a lovely way to bow out, isn't it? You trying to take credit for my one and only excellent feature. No. This is our last instalment of Natalie Sawyer. So I'm going to bring you a few stats to think about. We're going to talk about England right now in that win over Andorra. Thomas Tuchel singled out 3 England players who struggled to make a real impact in the game. Eze, Madueke, and Rashford, all name-dropped by the England manager as players who had good moments but weren't clinical enough. Do you have a problem with him singling out players like that?
Well, I come from an era that you were singled out.
Yeah,
so of course I don't know. I think you have to take it on the chin. I think you have to accept it, and maybe I wouldn't go on Madueke. I think that's unfair.
I'm surprised at that one.
I think Eze, who's a fabulous talent, I just found he was a bit of a circumstances when centre halves hog the ball and there's very little space and it's pass in that midfield area, and he's sort of the line in between the midfield and the forward line. I felt it was very difficult for him.
Yeah.
But no, I have no problem with singling out. Look, you can be critical, but in a way for helping the player progress in his career and understand what's necessary of them in games. So, no, I don't really have a problem with that. But, I talk to managers all the time and speak, and they say you can say less and less and less to a player now because they take it differently from we did.
All right, let's move on. talkSPORT understands Andre Onana is giving serious consideration to leaving Manchester United for Trabzonspor on loan. Onana has the second lowest save percentage in the last 20 years of any Manchester United goalkeeper. By the way, the Turkish window is still open, hence why this is a possibility. It's been a difficult spell for Onana, really, hasn't it, at Manchester United? And they brought in Sané Lomans from Royal Antwerp as a potential replacement. Do you think in some ways there's consideration of, did we get rid of De Gea too soon?
Yes. I think you've probably... Look, when you're going from De Gea and you've gone to Onana, and Onana's not played well. Whatever way we look at it, there's been lots of mistakes in there. Whether it's been with his feet, sometimes he tries the impossible ball when it's not on, and then there's commanding is a big word for a goalkeeper because defences have to trust the goalkeeper. When he comes out for crosses and doesn't quite get there, or goes with 2 hands instead of one, where you're trying to punch the ball out, I think he's made the line that everyone used on Onana was that he was a great shot stopper. And I think to a degree, but even when things were blocked and would bounce out, he seemed to bounce them out to the forward coming in to, just have the simple task of burying it in the back of the net. So he's had a difficult time. The standard at Manchester United is very high, or should be, to be the goalkeeper of a leading club in world football. And if you fall short, which he clearly has, then you're going to be taken out of the firing line eventually.
Yeah. There's no real question really for the last one, but this is the last Natalie Sawyer because I'm moving on from the breakfast show. Cass, It's been an absolute pleasure. 5 years, over 250 shows as well with you and Dean Saunders, and we've had others here too. So obviously this is your time to tell everyone how amazing I am. No, I'm joking.
Oh, what a pain.
No, don't worry about it. Look, we'll talk later on, I'm sure, about it. Because we've got to take a break. Oh, unfortunately, we've got to take a break. So on the way next, we're going to talk athletics. Michael Waydock will join us.
Here are some of the best off-camera anecdotes from recent years at the Ryder Cup. As caddy Billy Foster went to relieve himself at the Belfry, he noticed only one of the 2 cubicles had toilet paper. Shortly after he'd sat down, Tiger Woods went into the empty cubicle and realised his mistake all too late. So Foster took some paper, reached under the cubicle with a rescue offering, and as Tiger went to take it, Foster uttered the words, "Europe, one up." Fast forward 10 years to the miraculous Medina. Rory McIlroy overslept and was in danger of missing his Sunday tee time. Thankfully, travel organiser Erica Stoll sorted him a police escort. And 3 years later, McIlroy proposed. Scottish legend Sam Torrance tells many a yarn about the great Ballesteros. Apparently, Seve would regularly give coaching clinics to his European teammates. When the same players asked for help a week later at the Italian Open, Seve would tell them to Having started with a Billy Foster story, let's finish with one from the 12th tee at Oakland Hills in 2004. It was Jimenez and Garcia against Westwood and Clark in a practice round, and as they finished, Foster decided to jump in the buggy and speed away with all their clubs, only to lose control entirely and see it careering towards the spectators. Thankfully, the Red Sea parted and the buggy smashed into a tree, with viewers and clubs still intact.
Good morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Pleasure to have your company this Sunday morning. It's the former Gillingham striker Tony Cascarino and me, Natalie Sawyer, with you until 10 today. Some of your headlines. The European champions Arsenal got off to a winning start in the Women's Super League in this opening weekend of the new season as they beat the newcomers London City Lionesses, coming from behind to win 4-1 at the Emirates. Cristiano Ronaldo took his international goal tally to 140 in 222 appearances as Portugal opened their World Cup qualifying campaign with a 5-0 hammering of Armenia, and the Republic of Ireland's World Cup bid began in stirring fashion as they came from 2 goals down to draw 2-2 with 10-man Hungary in Dublin. It's been a little while since they've been at a World Cup, Cass.
Yeah.
But when you consider what you're seeing with Hallgrimsson's Republic of Ireland, do you think they've got a chance?
A small one.
Especially now there's 48 teams.
Yeah, I feel much better about the way we're playing, and there was something very different in recent months watching Ireland play where you just feel like there's a bit more strength in the forward areas, and the way they're playing is going to be lots of crosses, lots of things aimed at Ferguson, whether it's, Smodix or whether it's AD, who's there, Ada, who's in there. I hope that we can cause a few upsets, because last night was a very courageous performance against Hungary, but there's still loads to do. So it was a big point in the end. It was a last-minute ditch goal, you know?
Yeah.
Really important one.
As we say, with a 48-team competition, which we probably expect will continue for the next World Cup, etc. But this is a great chance for Ireland to get there finally for the first time since 2002.
Yeah, it's a long time. Yeah. Obviously, we went back-to-back in 1990 and 94, missed out.
You've got to stop living in the past, Cam.
Yeah, I know, but, the celebrations, I think what you saw pretty much a full stadium last night, and also there's a lot of enthusiasm back for the Ireland team.
Yeah.
And, and we need that. We need the 12th man in Dublin to get results and drive the team. So, I'm a lot more optimistic than pessimistic, like I was for a number of years.
Yeah. Very true. Okay, let's move on, shall we? We're now joined by talkSPORT's athletics correspondent Michael Waddock, who is going to be covering the Great North Run today. Michael, good morning.
Hi, Michael.
Good morning from the finish line. Hello, Natalie. Hello, Cass.
Oh, you've done it already, Michael?
He's already run it.
Yeah, I'm already here. I started early. I got there ahead of the likes of Eilish McColgan and the others. And yeah, I'm already here. Cup of tea in hand, got my medal, and got my silver blanket. It's brilliant.
Brilliant to hear. Well, look, let's just talk about the Great North Run as an event, shall we? Just tell us a little bit about the size of it, the history of it as well, Michael.
Yeah, first round in 1981. Back then, 12,000 people took part. It's a half marathon. Now it's the world's biggest half marathon. So you'll have 60,000 people taking part today. They'll start on the Central Motorway in Newcastle. Anyone that's ever seen the TV pictures, and they'll go to about 170 countries today, Natalie. Wow. They'll see the runners come across the iconic Tyne Bridge, which is undergoing a massive restoration at the moment. The red arrows will fly over. They'll come past the iconic Gateshead International Stadium, and then they'll head here to South Shields. And what will happen is there's this slow incline up to South Shields, and then you come over the hill and you hit the seafront here, and you think you're at the finish, and everyone puts their foot down and goes, but you're still 1.1 miles from the finish. So it's a long stretch along this blustery seafront today. We're going to see the elite wheelchairs off at 20 past 10, the elite women at 25 past 10, and the elite men, and then the masses raising money for charity, running the race for all their different reasons. They'll be going at 10 to 11 this morning.
Michael, we always get names, people who want to be involved, and celebs and whatever. Any famous ones along the way?
Yeah, well, I think we've certainly got a few in terms of the elite races today. So everyone here has been talking about the involvement of Eilish McColgan. This run, the Great North Run, is very much a family affair for the McColgan family. Liz McColgan won the race in 1992, 1995 and 1996. Eilish hasn't won this race. This is her third attempt at winning it. She was in a sprint finish last year. She ended up finishing fifth. She did beat her mother's course record, which was 1:07:45. So she'll be targeting to try and bring that down again. And she will be targeting to try and win this race. And she told me when I spoke to her, actually, and I went to meet her in Newcastle yesterday, she said she's also targeting her father's record, because actually her father has the McColgan family record because he's run it in around about 66. So that's what she's trying to do today. She's trying to beat the time that her dad did back in the day.
Brilliant. Well, we can't wait. It's going to be fascinating. And of course, the next weekend, it's all eyes on Tokyo for the World Athletic Championships, Michael. How's Team GB shaping up for that?
Yeah, Great Britain and Northern Ireland have selected their team. They've got nearly 70 members in the team heading out to Tokyo. Most of them are already there. They're in the prep camp. I've been speaking to a lot of those team members as they've been arriving over the past week or so. I spoke to Georgia Hunter-Bell. That's one of the real stories as far as Great Britain and Northern Ireland is concerned, because she's opted to run the 800 metres. You remember she won the bronze over 1,500 metres in Paris at the Olympics, but she's going to go head-to-head with her training partner, Keely Hodgkinson. She told me that it's very, very hot in Tokyo. She says the conditions are very, very humid. So the athletes will be spending a couple of weeks, the last week now, just trying to sort of get in tune with those conditions before the big event starts. I've got high hopes for Great Britain and Northern Ireland. I think we saw, didn't we, a number of medals at the Olympic Games in Paris. I'm just wondering whether some of those silvers, the likes of Katarina Johnson-Thompson, Josh Kerr in the men's 1500s, Matthew Hudson-Smith in the men's 400 metres, whether they could turn those into gold medals, and whether the likes of sort of Morgan Lake and the women's high jump, who's just recently first broken the 2-metre barrier, whether she can try and get a global medal for the very first time as well. So, yeah, very optimistic as far as those World Championships are concerned.
Michael, on that 70 participants, I couldn't say it there, going to Tokyo, is that about the normal number? Because that seems quite small, 70, in comparison to previous years.
Yeah, well, it's changed, and it's been a sort of a moving feast, if you like, Cass, over recent times, because there was this kind of move for the major championships to take very big teams. And then obviously British athletics hit the buffers a little bit, had one or two problems. Certainly they had some big financial issues. And there was a refocus when Jack Buckner went in there as the CEO, and the head coach there now is Paula Dunn, who used to run the para program, but now runs both programs. And very much the focus was to try and trim down those teams and just to take athletes either for experience or athletes who they felt were going to get into finals or get into medals. What I've noticed, and I noticed it in Paris, I've noticed it again here, is the numbers have crept up a little bit. So I think 60 to 70 is about where they are at the minute. It's probably about right. I think the philosophy behind that was you didn't want to take too many passengers in the team. One, there's a cost to that. And then I think there was a lot of discussion around the sort of mentality of that when you had a lot of people coming back to the team hotel early in competition that perhaps hadn't done very well, hadn't reached finals, hadn't done personal best. That had a detrimental effect on some of the athletes competing later. So, yeah, 60 to 70, I think now is the optimum amount.
Okay. And just finally, any sort of targets in mind from UK athletics, for example, for this World Championships?
Do Do you know what? I'm due to speak to Paula Dunn, head coach, later on today, and that's my first question for her. We don't set medal targets publicly anymore. That is what we're told. I certainly think that they will be looking to try and match what they did in Paris. I think one of the key things in Paris was there was 5 medals in 5 relays. So the mixed relay, and then the men's and the women's 4x1 and the 4x400 metres. There are opportunities, there are rich pickings there for medals, and certainly the British team put a lot of work, a lot of effort in trying to get relay medals. And then you look at the likes of Georgia Hunter-Bell, Keely Hodgkinson, Matthew Hudson-Smith, Josh Kerr, Molly Caudry, who didn't really do it at the Olympic Games, but, has had a decent season as well. So, I think you could be looking at 8 to 10.
Okay, well, we'll be happy with that. Michael, enjoy the Great North Run. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you very much.
And I'm sure Michael will bring us plenty on the World Athletic Championships as well when they get underway next weekend. Okay, coming up next, a few surprises, I'm told. We don't need to be doing this. But anyway, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT with the former Gillingham, Millwall, where should we go? Chelsea, Aston Villa, Celtic, Marseille, Nancy. Have I missed any?
Yeah, no.
Oh, Cockenhill. You never liked me saying Red Star, so I didn't mention it. Tony Cascarino and me, Natalie Sawyer. We are with you until 10 o'clock this morning.
Okay, Nat. To celebrate your last show, we've got some snippets over the years during your time on the Weekend Sports Breakfast.
Oh, no. Good morning, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. I'm Natalie Sawyer. Good morning, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. I'm Natalie Sawyer. Good morning, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. I'm Natalie Sawyer. And with me, it's the former Chelsea and Republic of Ireland striker, Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
Oh, I don't like all this. The legend, Natalie Sawyer
5 years, smashing it on the weekends breakfast show. Everyone's loved listening to you, but now we're going to listen to you at a different time. You're a legend, Natalie. Well done, and I hope you enjoy your last show. Love working with you, Gabby.
That I couldn't understand.
Can you touch your nose with your tongue?
No.
Well, I can.
Oh,
so
that's extraordinary.
There is someone in the world that could do it.
You've got to be really double jointed and all that.
I know it's a fact, but it's just one of my, I like weird and stupid things, right? So, but there's hardly anybody. It's nearly impossible for you to actually lick your elbow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Your nose is far more easier.
I mean, to be fair, I don't want to lick either, but thank you, and all the same. Oh, damn. Just over 5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
A bit later than normal, but anyway, we got down there. Tried to access the door, wouldn't open, wouldn't budge. I'm pushing on it, and I'm thinking, if I lost my muscle capacity, it's not opening.
Do you know, my last weekend started with people messaging about my maybe long-lost daughter in France.
Indeed. There's two of them, isn't it? Sisters?
Twisters. Yeah, Twisters. Yeah, twin sisters. Twisters is quite a good... Yeah, they're Twisters.
I'm just about to write... I'm looking up this Spanish player, and I've put Flash Carino, because I'm getting confused. I put Flash Score, and I'm talking to Tony Cascarino. Anyway.
Oh, goodness. I know. Look,
like it.
Can I just say something now? I know you're hating this moment.
I do.
You don't like.
I don't like it being about me.
You always pretend and say, I love it, it's about me, but you don't actually, do you?
No, of course not. I really don't.
Well, since it's your last weekend show, we thought we'd talk something to do with Brentford. Ask for your thoughts. Yeah, thank you.
Radio Brentford.
Let's get to the start of the season now. What have you made of your 1 win and 2 losses so far for the Bees this season?
Oh, gosh. Well, obviously, the opening loss to Forest were terrible, absolutely terrible. So that was a real disappointment. So then going into our home game against Aston Villa, which you came to, I was alarmed and a little bit worried because of that first performance. But actually, I mean, Villa weren't great. And I came away thinking, actually, I think we might be all right. I don't think we're going to blow anyone away in terms of where we're going to end up in the league necessarily. Yeah. It's still early days. But of all the pre-season talk of Brentford are going to go down, I didn't think that from that Villa game. Then obviously we lost at Sunderland late on, having gone ahead, and then they scored 2 goals to win that one. I still think that was a game that we probably, well, not necessarily deserve. We shouldn't have lost it, really.
Yeah, should have got something out of it.
Should have got something out of it. So, yeah, I mean, it's still early days. Do you know what the interesting thing is?
Go on.
One of Keith Andrews' assistants, Martin Drury, has left.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah, and it's all a bit weird. Nobody knows why and why it's all come about. And it was very oddly sort of announced on the website, but nowhere else. So that's a bit alarming in some ways. And I'd love to think that Brentford will come out and give us a bit more of a reason as to why he has left. But it does make you sort of think, I hope all's all right in camp.
What about Keith Andrews? What you made of him?
I'm still not sure what Keith Andrews' Brentford is. I don't think he's changing too much from what Thomas Frank was doing. I think Thomas Frank, if you remember, was such a great sort of figurehead for Brentford and a great manager and a great sort of statesman, if you like. I think Keith has a similar quality about him. He's a great talker, and I've heard great things from the players who talk about how he really just is an arm around the shoulder type manager and really takes each player individually and has good conversations with them, and I think that's a massive plus point as well.
Good. Some people have Brentford to go down.
Yeah, I know.
I don't. I think what I've seen so far that you've got plenty in the tank after 3 games. So, what you concerned?
I'm not concerned yet because I think it's early. And I always said to myself, I wanted us to get to the kind of maybe the next international break is where we can really assess where we're at. Now we've got Chelsea next game. That's not going to be easy. And then we've also got Manchester United come the end of the month, Man City to come. We've got some really tricky... I mean, there's no easy game if it's a cliche, but we always say it. I'm not worried as of yet, but yeah, I think we just... The problem is you've got Igor Thiago, who's quite raw still, as our number 9, essentially. Yeah. Kevin Shardo, as we know, does great things, but is still not quite hitting the strides as we would like. Dango Ouattara has got off to a great start for Brentford. Scored the winning goal against Villa. Had a goal disallowed at Sunderland too. That was an offside goal. He's got a great stuff. But they've got a gel, haven't they? And that takes time, the front three, I think. So I'm not worried as of yet, but maybe come to me in a social event and ask me about it.
Briefly, a non-Brentford player you're looking out for this season.
A non-Brentford player?
Yeah, so, you know, there's lots of choices all over. You could go to Liverpool, Everton, I don't know, wherever, non-Brentford.
Well, I've said it before, Harvey Elliott. I know it's an obvious one in the sense he's not an unknown, but I just want to see him playing all the time for Aston Villa, and I hope that he just really does cement his place in that midfield, as a winger, whatever it is that they opt him to play as. I presume on the wing. I don't know, actually. I just think Harvey Elliott is someone I'm intrigued about. I think he can play a number of different roles.
Yeah, he can, and he's got an amazing attitude for football. Wanting to play, and he's never rocked a boat at Anfield, and, you know, he's a young lad that's had success in the under-21s. He's always shown the desire, called upon, never let Liverpool down, all of them things. And I think Villa have made a really good signing to someone that will add to what they've got. And he's not one of them that's going to run at speed and go past, but he'll chip in with goals, he'll chip in with assists, and he always wants the ball.
He's just hard working.
Yeah, and he does it brilliantly.
And there's lots to like about him. But if I'm picking out a Brentford player, perhaps, that people aren't aware of, there's a couple I'd mention. Michael Coyote, who did join us on loan last season and now is a permanent, but he only came in the January time. He's the guy that does the long throws.
Oh, right, OK.
And they are very long throws. I mean, they are definitely a weapon to use at set pieces, certainly, and long throws into the box. He's someone to look out for, as is Malambo, who joined us from Feyenoord. Getting raw, still young, getting to grips with the Premier League, but he's another name I'd look out for.
Good. We've got a message from someone special in a minute.
Oh, okay.
But I'd just like to say I've absolutely loved the 5 years we've had together. And yes, you are staying on talkSPORT, but you're doing different shows. But it's been great fun.
Do we count this as a divorce?
I've had 3. I'm on me 4th.
Do you want a 4th? I know.
No, look, I just really want to say that I'd loved it, and we've had great fun. The boys behind, the boys and girls who have worked behind the show have done brilliantly well. And it's a tough gig at 6 a.m. every Saturday and Sunday because younger element are sometimes really shattered tired preparing for the show. But I've loved it. I loved every minute of it. Well, I'm sure we'll be in touch and
I don't know.
catching up in what
Once
capacity.
I walk out the door today, that's it.
But I think it's time for me to give this message. Yeah, so
hey, Natalie, I hope you're well. You've done an amazing job on Weekend Breakfast as a foreigner coming to England, listening actually to a bit of talkSPORT in my time, and of course Weekend Breakfast was one of my favorites. Thank you in general for your support as a BSO supporter. It's been amazing. It's been a fantastic journey we've been on, all of us together. I wish you very well for the future, and best of luck to you and your family. Take care. Bye.
That's brilliant. Hey, how good is that?
Oh my God! That's Thomas's house.
I know. He's done it from his. I don't know how they did it, but whoever did it, and Sam is obviously the producer.
I'll need a copy of that.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Having a manager of a top club.
Should have left ages ago. That's amazing. Oh, that's really sweet, really special. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
So my little speech before is not really that important, but Thomas's is great.
No. I thought I was dead to Thomas now, but he remembers me. No, listen, I've loved every minute of it as well. It's been an absolute blast. I am shattered, so I'm looking forward to the fact that I don't have to set a ridiculously early alarm clock. But I'll miss you all because I've loved you all. And, you're a friend for life, Cass. We'll definitely continue to meet up as we always do. Sure, you'll come to Brentford again.
When I need a ticket.
Yeah. Hi, remember me? But look, I'm handing over the baton to Shaban. She's going to be brilliant, of course. I'm still staying with talkSPORT. I feel like we're making this big fanfare over nothing, really. I'm just moving to a different time slot. But as I say, I've loved every minute. So thank you to everyone behind the scenes. Thank you to you, and to all our guests and everyone that's ever been on the show. To you, the listeners, as well, because you've been a massive part of this. And onwards and upwards is what I always say. Come on, the bees. And Thomas Frank, I love you. That's it for us today. And as I say, Shaban will be with you next weekend.
Next weekend. Well, I'm not here Saturday, but I will be with Shaban on Sunday.
What a way to introduce her to the weekend permanently. You're not around.
Well, no, Dean Saunders. It'll be Dean and Shaban next Saturday.
Yeah, the sub.
Yeah, but looking forward to a new chapter in talkSPORT.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be around on Thursday, certainly Thursday evenings if you want to listen in. But on the way next, you do have the Sunday edition with Sean and Henry.